In today's episode, entitled Crime and Katt's Punishment, we spend most of our time watching the crew be questioned lightly by the conclave. Inside the conclave, lots of questions, lots of unanswered questions. How did Hildreth get there? What exactly is Xylund hiding? Will the speech lead them all to be imprisoned for just general fuckery, which would frankly be long overdue? It was not a particularly jovial session, but at the end, plans were made, assignments were handed out, people were charged up. Will it be treason, or will they be good little citizens and do what they can to save everybody? We'll find out.
We're off to adventure to go roll the dice. Come seize your advantage and you'll roll them twice. Even if we lose our way, we'll make a journey someday. Something awaits you, so anchors away. Who knows what role you'll play? Who knows what role you'll play?
Go.
Alright, 3, 2, 1, go. Well, while we wait for Twinki, Kern, you feel you're pretty well caught up
Yep.
on what you missed last time? Okay.
You guys sent Greylock into a spiral of chaos.
Pretty much.
Well,
I have no idea what you mean.
our presentation just got a little bit
Awesome.
well, with a magical horse flying out
Punk
the
rock.
door with Davynn on his back. Oh, Davynn did some magic too.
Yeah.
Also, Davynn went shirtless, so they flew
Yeah.
out.
Naked,
Yeah,
shot off a
not
controlled
naked,
firebolt, shirtless. That's partially nude. Shot off a
Yeah.
controlled firebolt and left on the back of a Pegasus.
So basically, blame Davynn and Lana, and Xylund and Lily are totally blameless in this one.
Punk is never dead.
100%. Lily cast zero magic, and in fact,
Yeah.
her and Xylund made a bet as to the happenings later that night, and then went to get a drink.
Yeah.
Everyone else was perfectly calm. So to sum up the more general goings on of the last session, y'all did a little bit of information gathering. Found out that the conclave would very much like to speak with you. A little bit on where various allies may or may not be located and their status. And then you watched a show written by the illustrious Stanley, which was at least heartfelt, if not particularly good. They put a lot of effort into it, and then you ended it by giving a impassioned political plea, and then demonstrating open magic and bolting. So you do technically have an appointment with the conclave first thing in the morning, according to Zori, Magister Zori. Xylund spoke with technically Xylund's lawyer. Who really knows? So
Like if Xylund wants to keep, cordial relations with him, maybe not throw him under the bus by not showing up.
up to y'all. Technically, you have been requested to come in the following morning. That was a concession given by the Magister rather than alerting the conclave to your presence immediately. Gave you guys till morning, at the very least. So we did end the session the previous night. We can skip over the evening and let you and pick up at first light, unless there's anything else that y'all would like to cover before we start.
Long rest.
Yeah, I'm good
Yes,
with just picking up.
clearly you get a long rest to recover.
Do we? There needs to be
Yeah,
a
I
long
think I'm
rest.
good.
All right, then we will pick up at first light. You are in your lovely and spacious suite of inn rooms. They are connected, private baths. Again, you were given the best accommodations in the house, effectively, on par with not quite diplomats' quarters in Karak, but pretty close. So you have very nice beds, access to baths, should you wish to avail yourselves of them, and effectively servants at your beck and call to either bring you food in your rooms or you can eat down below. Yeah, you got effectively the royal treatment.
Cool. I guess we'll probably go get breakfast downstairs first and then head out.
You guys can have your foods,
Mhm.
and you're going directly to Conclave?
I'm gonna make sure all my flasks are filled.
All right. Yes, the barkeep is more than happy to top you off with whatever it is that you want.
Yeah.
Again, as a higher scale inn, he does have a wider variety than you're generally used to. So there's liquor, there's wine, there's standard ale, basically whatever it is that you'd like.
Whiskey and vodka, half and half. Like not in the same flask, obviously, but
Potato ale.
I was
Yeah,
about
it's
to
potato
say,
ale.
though, come on.
All right. So Xylund has procured his liquid fortitude.
Sweet show last night, right?
Falcon.
Yeah. Sweet show as you look to Kern with bags under his eyes from not sleeping.
I mean, I thought it was pretty sweet.
Oh, yeah, the show.
definitely made a statement.
And that's the point of popular media, is to make a statement, right?
You know,
Yes.
at this point, I don't even think I can care anymore. And Lily is already chain smoking her third cigarette, just like, nope, I'm done with the day already.
Everybody seems so down about this. I mean, I thought we did great-ish. I mean, maybe we didn't get as much applause as I expected, but, we got our message out, made it clear about what we think about the situation.
That we
Things are
did.
gonna go fine.
I'm
That we
less
did.
concerned about the message, though that was a bit concerning. More about the additional performances.
What, the magic? People know I'm magic.
Yes, there's a difference between knowing that somebody is capable of doing something and having it shoved in their face. We also have an invading army that likes to burn magic people right outside the gates and inside the city.
Let them try. We're basically gods. Who could possibly hurt us?
You ever heard of hubris?
Funk. Funk.
Alright,
I have no
Funk.
idea.
Funk.
be careful there, Icarus. You're getting a little close to the sun.
So I've been thinking. I didn't sleep much last night, but I came up with a kind of a plan. So I don't know if you guys know this, but that zone of truth thing I can do, they can do it as well. So we might be compelled to tell the truth, which
Yes.
probably won't work in our favor. So I was thinking I could, like, before we head out, I could try to track down some blood moss enough for all of us, and then we could just like take a mega dose so that we don't know what the truth is. And that way, like, our testimony won't make any sense, but it won't be incriminating.
I think that is incriminating.
That
No,
is so amazing. I'm just going to say that is an amazing plan. Will
It's
it
not
backfire on us?
incriminating.
Probably, but that is an amazing plan.
I mean, I would be down if we weren't supposed to be basically representing her trustworthiness and responsibility right now. Otherwise, that sounds like a perfect way of getting around Zone of Truth.
All right, well, maybe we'll put it in our back pocket for next time then.
You can totally do that if you want.
Yeah.
After all, I think that you have the most incriminating information out of all of us.
That's what I'm worried about.
Everything we have is your own supposition. So we can truthfully say that we don't know.
I tried to track down some blood moss last night and I couldn't, and it's getting kind of late now. So
Yeah. Well,
anyway, Xylund is like visibly somber and nervous and paler even than usual.
But they seem so worried.
just answer the questions you want to answer, Xylund. All right.
All right.
You all good?
Lily drains the last of whatever the hell is in her cup. Yep,
So
I'm ready.
go figure out what they want. Try to be like, hey, you should definitely release Katt.
And then get
Yes.
the hell out of Dodge while we can.
Yeah.
If we get Katt out, that'd be rad.
All right. Let's go.
So you make your way to the Autonova Conclave. It's the center for the Church of Grenin within Greylock. You've been there, or at least been by it before. Several of you have been inside. It is a fairly large, imposing gray. It doesn't resemble a church so much as it resembles sort of a bullpen office, as most of the courts are also housed here. So there's a lot of judicial and legal issues that are handled up in the front, as opposed to a traditional house of worship that you would expect to see. It does still have the statuary and the pageantry and the decoration that you would expect from a temple, especially one this large and old. But it doesn't have sort of the somber reverence that one might expect from a place of worship. So as you come in, you are pointedly ignored of the folks towards the front. Most seem to be a little more than clerks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're dressed very plainly. They all, the vast majority anyway, do wear the symbol of Grenin, but they given their age and lack of adornment, they appear to be fairly low on the totem. Very few of them make eye contact. Almost all of them pointedly look away. They clearly don't want to deal with you in any way. But it is not long before a older and far more decorated priest comes from the massive double doors in the back to scoop you up from this beehive of a bullpen, nodding and giving the very shortest and briefest of bows. And doesn't really say anything, doesn't really even address you by name, just sort of points the way towards the doors and makes motion that you should come that way.
All right. Well, I guess we'll head up.
Okay. So you are led back behind the double doors. Xylund, you were here yesterday. You can see the hallways do branch off, but where you are being guided to, ever so subtly. Did you just cast heroism on yourself?
No. Although
No, you just checking for later, maybe.
In case he
Silence,
gets intimidated, yeah.
I was just looking at my spells to see what could be useful here. That one might be.
I have, Maybe that will be useful.
So you're led past the sort of the opening section where the main hall branches off into these smaller halls. You're led past that into a large open sort of rotunda style area. Is there a music die? What's there?
Yes.
Okay.
Quiet.
Yeah, it's just quiet. Okay. So you are led into an area, again, large rotunda style, massive chandelier. There are various people that sort of crisscross this. It has, if you've ever been to the Capitol building in DC, it has that very same kind of feel to it. There's an officiousness of what's going on. People don't stop and talk and chat. There's not a whole lot of sociability here. These folks are on a mission, and they generally are carrying either books or other scholarly implements. There are benches lined along the walls. Again, very ornate stone, probably original with the building. No cushion or any comfort of any kind. There are multiple doors. There are at least 5 doors that you can see, massive stone arched doors that sort of radiate out along these slightly curved walls. They're all closed. The doors themselves are highly decorated, very carved. Where they go, it's kind of difficult to say. The gentleman who's been sort of silently guiding you, again, gently directs you to some benches along a wall near the door that is just off to your left. Again, shut, but without words, indicates that perhaps you should have a seat in that location.
All right.
All goes that location.
Want to double check with the guy first. Like we're supposed to sit over there, right? Since we haven't been spoken to essentially at all.
And he just nods and gestures in that general direction.
Is Magister Zuri around?
At that, he stops and then gives you. Is your helmet still on, by the way?
Yep. Yeah, it is.
Okay, just checking.
I try to make my eyes flare.
Gives you kind of an appraising look. And he nods once. Yes.
All right, I take a deep swig and I sort of hold the flask out, see if anyone else wants some.
Lily will take a swig.
You're
She's-
there. Go ahead next.
I was about to say Lily. She's just given up on the day already.
So you're there, again, an indeterminable amount of time. There's no sunlight in here, so it's difficult to tell how much time has passed. No one has really stopped or spoken with you it's a great place to people watch. The air in here is pretty oppressive between the candle smoke, the incense, and just the lack of ventilation. You can see why this might be a place to get to the bottom of things. But finally, after much time sitting and people watching and stewing in your own thoughts, the door next to you opens slowly, wood creaking, and a very neatly dressed in gray robes with the symbol of Grenin worn around his neck. Older gentleman pops out, silver hair, looks very, very well-to-do. He's got good boots and good shoes. He's got understated but definitely fine jewelry. His robes are made of satin, and underneath you can see there's a bit of a velvet lining to them. He seems to be fairly well off. He steps forward and smiles easily and says, "We're glad that you answered our summons. The Conclave is eager to speak with you all at once.
Oh, I
If you'll
bet.
just follow me."
Where's Magister Zuri? He's supposed to be counseling us or something.
He's inside.
All right.
Oh God, we've got a lawyer. This is great. I recommend that you don't say that.
So he leads you past the doors, smile never leaving his face. And you are now in the interior of the
I
conclave.
asked him what he's so happy about.
He's so happy about?
Well, you said he's smiling.
He is.
Is it like one of those fake smiles? Like, it's so nice to see you. Please come this way before you mess up everything.
No, it seems to be. It seems to be an easy smile. Like there are quite a few, especially in the Temple of Grenin, of those sort of reflexive, everything is fine kind of smiles. But no, this guy, he seems to be genuinely at ease.
I don't know. He reminds me kind of Stanley.
Oh God,
So
if
he
they have
leads you-
Stanley, then we are fucked.
Can we get Stanley as our lawyer?
That would be great.
We should have done that, yeah.
We wouldn't even have to say anything. Stanley would say it all, and then next thing you know, the whole church panel is just agreeing with him.
No,
Yeah, I don't
Stanley
think
would
they
pull
would
that.
actually
I'm
say
just a country lawyer. Speech.
I don't have no fancy
Don't have no
juris
fancy
doctorate.
degree, but
Oh, where I come from, we
That
have
is
these
right.
things called truth.
Oh, I might have to write a play about that. We'll have to see. Stanley as a humble country lawyer. That's too good. So you're led inside the inner conclave. And again, this is another rotunda style room. No sunlight, but there are quite a few iron sconces and braziers that hold roaring fires. You can, I mean, the smell of smoke is pretty omnipresent in here. The wall directly in front of you, the curved wall directly in front of you, is lined with large chairs, akin with thrones, although I highly doubt any of the occupants would call them that. Most of them are made of wood, heavy, dark, overly veneered, quite aged wood, and behind them hang banners and bunting and other regalia that shows the church to each chair belongs. There is one chair, one off to the far right, the one that is closest to the door, that is empty, and there are no fires that burn around that one. It is simply empty. There's also no pageantry surrounding it. There's no banner or any other indication what it belongs to. The others, surrounded by their symbols and their clerks, and there's a lot of scurrying around and a lot of pages and other clerical staff that sort of file in behind the chairs, and there's little makeshift tables set up here and there as an inquiry is being set up. In most of the chairs are the heads of the church, various churches in Greylock. And I will give you a quick rundown of who's who. I also created a cheat sheet. So I would only have to tell you their names once.
Hooray.
I
Oh,
think I did
nice.
that right.
Yay.
So you may call them, but whatever you want. You don't have to refer to them by their names or their titles. You know, please feel free to stick to character on how you would address them. But this way, you'll know who I'm talking about. Get myself or you confused.
Do we
Yeah.
personally
God.
recognize any of them?
You have never personally met any of these people, but chairs is surrounded by the standardized symbols of each church, that you would know.
Gotcha.
So, you know the sword of Rildas, and you know the fire of Essen, and you know the twisted heart of Cinderlay. So you have an idea about which chair belongs to which religion. As far as the actual individuals, you haven't met any of them in person.
Okay.
You might have seen them at Nysali's when you were there the first time for her feast, but it's not like you were introduced, and that was a long time ago. Who knows?
Okay.
There are chairs, one for each of you, center of this room, and that there's a large open area with carvings in the floor that have been traced in some kind of metal, might be silver, that catches the light and shines. Intricate patterns, definitely prayers. Those of you who are of divine leanings, definitely prayers, and probably some other things too. But your escort leads you to have a seat in these chairs. Xylund, you catch Zuri off to one side. He's at one of the makeshift tables, appears to be gathering documents. So while you guys get seated and prepare, I'll give you a quick rundown on who's who, just so you get an idea of who you're looking at.
All right.
So you've got the High Protector, who's Arthur Crommenbrook. You have seen him before. He was definitely at Nysali's, but you have not spoken to him. He is the High Protector of Rildas. He is middle-aged, say in his 40s, maybe creeping up on 50. Human male. He wears a golden white tunic and just a very plain circlet. He, of course, has a sword, and he wears a breastplate over his tunic. Everything is trimmed in gold, while everything else is white. He's, brown hair, brown eyes, just fairly average in that respect, but he is starting to gray at the temples. He appeared to be amused, but that could just be his normal face. It's hard to say. Sitting next to him is the Church of Eston. As a reminder, Eston is a
Farming and harvest guy.
yeah, so it is a rural deity, all about rural life, said farming, harvesting, and kind of the simple crafts that go with that. Sitting in and filling out most of the chair of Eston is actually a female Goliath. Fairly sizable lady. She wears very, very simple clothing, extremely simple clothing. Other than the fact that she is larger than average, she would not be out of place on a farm herself. The kind of the rough-hewn shirt that she wears, it is trimmed in red. And she does have a cloak that is hanging up on the back of the chair that's also brown and trimmed in red. And the symbol of Eston is actually woven into the back of the cloak, as well as in the trim of her clothes and in her pants. So the craftsmanship is very fine, even though the outfit itself is very simple. She has a close-shaved head, so it's difficult to tell what her natural hair color is. But she does have a set of ice blue eyes. They're very piercing, especially in the dark. So while the rest of her is fairly muted, her eyes definitely draw attention. She looks bored more than anything. And I'm not sure if I put this in the handout or not. Let me. Her nickname is Horn Snapper.
Nice.
Rudic Horn Snapper.
As a as an aside, her nickname is Horn Snapper. Next to her is the Church of Essen. Essen is the Fire Maiden. She's the Summer Maiden. Very closely tied to the Church of Eston. They're often found in the same place. And there is a woman in her 50s, maybe creeping up on 60, human female. She's very long-legged and fairly tall. She's not that much shorter than Hornsnapper, but very, very thin. She has a auburn, kind of fading red braid and gray eyes. Her robe is fairly loose. She wears the reds and oranges that the Church of Essen does, which you saw when you were up north. So yeah, she has a long, loose robe. Very few overlapping scarves to it. She also has this massive gnarled staff that has a bunch of smaller pouches hanging from it, all leather, that leans up against her chair, and her clerks keep bumping into it and having to set it back upright. She looks more amused at them and isn't really paying any attention to what's going on in front of her right now. You have Obsidian pulled up? Okay. Next to Essen is the Church of Xana, which is the butterfly. You've seen that in multiple places, both in Sarnalakor and in Sali. The head of Xana's church is called the Overseer. In this case, Overseer Shadowhand, who is a male gnome. He has dark eyes and dark hair, and it's in a fairly sizable little man bun he's got rocking. And I'm at least 4 inches tall. This man bun. Like it's pretty impressive.
I thought you were talking about the guy.
No. He's much taller than that. His hair is good, a good portion of that. He wears the kind of loose but well-made clothes of a merchant. His shirt is obviously silk. It's light blue. He's got green trousers on that appear to be velvet or velveteen. He's got solid leather boots. All of his jewelry is silver, and it's got kind of that brocade style with the butterfly worked into all of it. So he's almost borderline gaudy. Not quite. He's got like the pirate jewelry rings going on. He's resting a hand on one of his little fists right now as he kind of sits and watches you all enter. Next to him is Cindele. It's the spring goddess. Their leader is called the Gothi for whatever reason. It's an odd title. No one knows why. But Jaren Rasa, who is a human woman in her 30s. Her outfit is a very Greek style draped robe, pastel pink, lots of gold embroidery, tons of gold embroidery. She and Xana next together, next that close to another, casting off firelight, is a little sparkly. She herself is fairly heavily made up. There's a lot of glitter going on here. She wears, instead of standard jewelry, or in addition to standard jewelry, she has woven ribbons for her bracelets and ones that lace up her sandals. Her hair is completely unbound and almost down to her butt, sandy colored, and she has hazel eyes. You okay? Okay. Xana is vaguely sympathetic to Nenemeth. Yeah. They are, in general, not antagonistic. Xana is a chaotic sort of goddess, one of innovation, and so generally doesn't care about Nenemeth's connection to magic. So yeah, they're okay. Next to Cindele is Onir, Chainbreaker. And their herald is a human male in his 40s. He's got real short, almost military-style red hair, very green eyes. He wears gray and green monkish robes, and he actually wears shackles limbs, so both his ankles and his wrists. He wears shackles with a few chain links still hanging from them, in addition to having the broken shackle, the twisted shackle, woven into his clothing and around his neck. Incredibly serious. He's sitting broad straight, staring straight ahead, eyes on you as you enter the building. Next to him is the elven area of the conclave for Keller Ellenball. The sage is a high elf, an old high elf, female. Very exaggerated elven features, silver bob and very bright eyes, blue eyes. She's got the very deep forest green gown that's trimmed in silver and black, and you can see the cuffs have sable linings, as does the absolute bottom of the robe. She wears a silver antlered crown and quite a bit of silver jewelry. Her scribes, the ones that attend her, are exceedingly quiet, as opposed to sort of the hustle and bustle around everybody else. They speak in whispers, you notice, and they generally, it's sort of this pool of tranquility surrounded by sort of the clip and clomp of everybody else. And that's very much the sensation you get from her area. She is watching you closely, but you don't get any particular negative or positive vibe from her. I have Grennan, whose chair might be a little bit bigger than everybody else's, maybe. You don't know. Grennan is as their justice here, judge. She's a female half-elf, older, short black hair. It's kind of salt and pepper with green eyes. She wears a dark blue and red gown, a steel circlet, and she has this massive braid across her chest, very military style. Her clothes are very neat and very orderly, and as are her pages. Her scribes are also dressed in sort of the same color scheme, but they too are very neat and orderly, and her area is exceptionally organized. She's got the most tables that surround her chair, she's got the most documentation, and she's got 2 different people that are sitting and writing everything down. Even though you guys haven't spoken yet, they are still writing everything down. She does not look like a pleasant person. She definitely has a resting bitch face going on. Next to her is Galdus Firefather, that's the dwarven deity. So, of course, we have a male dwarf, very, very old male dwarf. He's pale eyes, the color is difficult to tell, and gray hair, but braided in the traditional way. So it hangs down about halfway down his chest, full of gold and metal decorations. He wears bright orange, trimmed in gold tunic and leather breeches. There's a big ass hammer resting up against his chair. And all of his little clerks and squires, they're human rather than dwarves, which you would expect. And they keep stubbing their toe on his hammer as they try and skitter around him. He does not pay any attention to them, however. Doesn't seem, they keep trying to get his attention, and he keeps waving them away. He doesn't seem to be interested. Next to him is Rush. Rush is the craftsman god. He's a younger guy, probably one of the youngest people here. Human male, blonde, light eyes, fairly big, definitely farm built kind of guy. He wears pewter and yellow, again, Merchant style garb, but he's got a copper breastplate, and he too has a hammer that is almost as big as the one the dwarf has, even though he's probably twice as tall, half again as broad. He looks absolutely delighted to be here, and is sort of gawping around almost tourist style at all goings on and seeing you come in. And he has the fewest number of scribes and clerks as well. He only has 2. Everyone else has anywhere from 4 to half a dozen. So he seems to be genuinely interested in what's going on here. Next to him, there's actually 2 chairs that are dedicated to Darelai. right next to each other. The first one does have someone that you recognize, or at least Xylund would recognize, and that is Maester Ludum from the Mount, looking very much the same, except he's wearing his traditional dark blue fancy robes, formal robes. The other chair is someone that you haven't met before, and judging by the symbology that's carved into the chair, this is actually Nenemeth's chair. Did we lose someone?
No, I think we got Twinkie.
Gained someone.
We gained a Twinkie? Okay.
You gained a
I guess you
Twinkie.
I guess you could count that as losing someone, though.
Gained a Twinkie. So, in the chair that appears to originally have belonged to the Church of Nenemeth, judging by the symbology that's carved on it, is a woman in her mid-30s. She's got, again, an auburn braid, and she wears glasses that are tinted. She tinted blue, which catches the firelight and makes her fairly distinguishable in the gloom. She too wears midnight blue robes, trimmed in white, and she has a very long silver veil that she wears. It doesn't cover her face. It extends from the circlet that she wears down her back, but it goes long enough that it's under her butt and actually hits the floor. Mm-hmm. She also has, as opposed to a silver or more traditional iron wheel around her neck, as Mr. Ludum does, she has one of the old school bone derelict wheels, which is larger and held together with leather, and looks almost like a dream catcher in the way it's decorated with small feathers and things. So she's fairly distinguishable. Again, they also seem to, these two churches seem to share a pool of scribes, are Tenem and Inaline. Tenem, its headman, is a male halfling, middle-aged, very dark complected, but he has bright violet eyes, so the two are sort of jarring next to one another. He wears a cloak, and he's actually wearing his cloak, but he wears green and black with red trim. He has his cloak and his hood on, but he does have his hood pushed back just a little bit so you can kind of see his face, but he hasn't taken it off, and he doesn't appear to be inclined to do so. He seems to be very nervous, or at the very least agitated, and keeps flipping a coin and looking over at the person who's sitting in the Church of Inaline's chair every about 10 seconds. Inaline is represented by their seer, who is a Dragonborn. It's actually a brass Dragonborn, male brass Dragonborn. She wears the light blue and gray that you would expect to see from Cleric of Inaline. She has quite a bit of white coral and celos wood, the pale white wood jewelry. A lot of it is sort of larger and clunkier, held together with leather and sinew, but it has that sort of driftwood natural effect that a lot of Inaline's decorations tend to have. She is also looking back over at the headman, not as often, maybe every 30 seconds or so. And every time she just sort of smiles at him, and then she turns her attention back to the center where you guys have been getting yourselves adjusted in front of this motley crew. Twinkie, since you have just arrived, I did make a clergy cheat sheet available with the names that all these, and churches all these people belong to. Yeah, if you go to the Obsidian Portal page, you can see the overview for all the churches if you need to brush up on symbols and stuff. That is still up.
I never thought I'd need a clergyman cheat sheet in my life.
You're going in front of the conclave, man. It's important. All right. I will let you guys get settled and review and prepare. I'm going to steal Twinki for just a minute to get him caught up, and I will be right back. So yeah, Zuri comes forward, bringing Hildreth to join the crew. Zuri addresses the conclave, thanking them for their, for meeting this morning, for taking time for this inquiry, for their continued work on the inquiry, and introduces the voluntary submission of the group in an effort to clear up whatever you all are able to. Then he returns back to his table as you stand and Kern takes a psychic damage. As you sit before the conclave of clerics, the High Justice, the Blade Walker, speaks first. Yeah, Hildreth came with Zuri.
Okay.
Looking totally just nonplussed, as Hildreth is wont to do.
Imagine Phoenix Wright, but with Hildreth's face.
This is gonna be great. So Justice Bladewalker begins, and her voice is fairly direct. She's clearly someone that has a long history of speaking, not just in a group setting, but also in a very neutral way. For their attendance, their continued attendance, and their continued attention, a word which gets marked with a bit of an inflection, to this inquiry. She thanks you for coming so promptly. We had feared that we would be unable to locate you in your excursions into the wilds, and we appreciate you taking the time to answer the questions that we have. So I will begin. This inquiry is to establish precisely the events that took place within Karacht. You were there. You witnessed, I would say, the vast majority of what happened, and your knowledge is invaluable. So, wishes to speak may speak. Please just answer the questions honestly and succinctly, and we will surely come to a conclusion as quickly as possible. My first question is, did you happen to see Captain Liliscea the day of the incident?
Did we?
Yeah, she was with you.
That's Katt, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was about to say that's Katt.
That's Katt.
I think so.
Yeah.
Pretty sure.
She was with us for a significant portion of the event.
And assisted us for a significant proportion, for that matter.
Assisted in what way? Can you be more specific?
She helped us to fight evil mind things that Timwako summoned. I don't know the details. I'm not like a smart magic person, just a normal magic person. Also, can't help but notice Church of Nenevith couldn't make it.
There's a slight ripple of conversation, and the scratching of Quill's pauses for the briefest of moments. Maester Ludum speaks out. Nenevith is, as Nenevith has always been, represented faithfully and fully by the Church of Daralai in all formal administrative matters.
Captain Liliscea guided us through Karacht and defended us against mental intrusion while facilitating our communication throughout the events. Without her, we would have fallen into many traps that we were able to avoid with her help.
Justice nods and speaks. Little intrusions. Of what nature, would you say?
The
Probably
foe
the guy who was setting invisible psychic fires in the city. Probably his doing.
we faced was able to summon memories of the city. The fires, the plagues, the previous conquerors, previous foes. Everything the city has seen, he was able to summon.
Or
You
the
track
city.
that to one individual? And
Well, okay. Sidebar. Outside of
yes.
outside of the game. Sidebar
Yes,
outside
yes,
of the
yes.
game.
Yes, yes.
Next, I don't think he summoned it. I think it was the memories of the castle that were fighting back.
We don't know for sure, and considering all the damage they did, let's just go with Tim Lakos did it.
Yeah, but she just asked if we were sure that was the case. And we're not sure.
Yeah, as a side note, you are all effectively under zone of truth.
Yes.
So, yeah. Let that influence the way you structure your answers. But so far, you've all been telling the truth, so it doesn't matter.
Also, I thought it was pretty conclusive that he had seized control of Karokt and through the whole Gescholt stone thing was able to do all that. I mean, sure, there were some spirits that were summoned to help, like the Seven Sisters, but for the most part, it was all badness, like, unleashed.
If that's if that's Lily's conclusion, then that would
Yeah.
be her truth. That would be absolutely what she believes, and she's welcome to.
In that case,
Just
Kern
pass
can
that
shut his
line.
mouth.
But as far as like an in-game resolution canon reason, you guys don't have one.
Well, so that's Lily's conclusion. You know, there were some spirits that were able to help, like the Seven Sisters, but for the most part, it was Tim Lakos taking over Karokt and using the Gescholt stone as a kind of resonance thing. And
Okay.
so that's what she's going to say.
All right. Cool.
Perfectly fine.
Awesome. Then Kern will shut his mouth.
And she will conclude with, "This is, of course, the best of my knowledge."
The Justice nods. Well, we are here to. We can. It was surely an extraordinary event, one that none of us are particularly well versed in, which is why your information is so valuable. I did want to revisit. She looks down at one of her scribes. Again, going back to Captain Liliscea. Facilitated communication enabled you to avoid traps. How did she facilitate communication?
There were many times that we were separated, and she acted as a mental bridge between us.
Speaking in your minds.
While she did speak in our minds, her main role there was allowing us to speak with each other.
And avoiding traps, was she able to disarm them, or did she seem to have some sort of pre-knowledge of where they were located?
She's a scout. It's her job to find things that are dangerous, and that's what she did. It
She
did not
also-
appear as though she knew where they were beforehand or knew what the traps were.
She also possesses, due to said nature, a very discerning eye. I myself was caught in one such trap that she correctly was able to attribute to the castle, being very familiar with how it operates.
At this point, The High Protector pipes up and says, I would be very interested to hear about this trap and how the captain was able to so readily help you with it. What precisely happened?
In this case, we came upon a room that appeared to be a well-stocked and high-grade alchemy laboratory. Myself being a practitioner of alchemy, I of course thought that there might be some things there that could aid us. Upon entering, I was rooted to the spot and began to turn to stone. And Captain Liliscea, having knowledge of us due to prior encounters, understood that it was something of an obsession of mine. And she also knew that the castle, Karat, with the Geshold stone, interpreted that as a wish, so to speak, to be there forever. I was temporarily forced to give up my alchemy tools in order to escape, and even then, for a very long time, my legs still remained stone, though they have recovered since.
And at this point, the Gold's Firefather, the father, leans forward. You were stone, but you got better.
There was a lot involved in that. The stone was creeping up my legs, and until I managed, until we discovered the nature of the trap, it was guaranteed that I would have been completely petrified by the end. But afterwards, the damage had been done. My legs were stone, and until a recent run-in with nefarious groups that had me forced into the form of a cat, the recovery from that form is what recovered my legs.
And the overseer is now a little more interested than he was a second ago. You were stone, and then you were a cat.
Yes.
We lead very interesting lives, Your Honor.
And that ring gets a chuckle throughout the vast majority of the conclave. Not everyone's laughing, but a good portion. A good portion seem to enjoy that. The High Protector continues. So, no training in alchemy, has no training in architecture, history. That's all correct. And he seems to be talking more to his scribes, his helpers, and to you guys. And there's a murmur from them. So he looks back to the group. According to my representatives of the Argent Order, Captain Liliscea would have been absolutely useless in that situation. And yet she was able to explain some of the nature of what was happening.
I believe that what that was less of an alchemical or architectural insight and more of a keen observation of humanoid nature.
If you don't mind me asking, what exactly are you all trying to prove here? Because it seems like you're asking us some leading questions.
So the headman, you can hear him snort, and although he might have been trying to say it under his breath, it's hard to do that in this chamber because of the acoustics. But yeah, you get a snort, and that's what I'd like to know. Out of Tenem.
I would like to say, though, If you believe that this is all Captain Liliscea's doing, then it makes absolutely no sense for her to have helped us. If she had just let events land where they may, I can guarantee you we would not have succeeded. And whatever it was that, whatever motive you would ascribe to her would undoubtedly have failed.
The justice speaks again. It would be irresponsible to come to a conclusion this early in our inquiry. We are interested in Captain Liliscea for several reasons, and we're simply trying to understand more from an eyewitness point of view. There were so few of you that went in and came back out. Our previous inquiries have not gone so well. So this is truly our first opportunity to honestly get an idea of the captain's actions that day. So you'll forgive us if we are slightly focused.
Lily will nod warily.
Don't mind, again, me asking, what exactly is your interest in Katt? Other than she was there, because we were also there.
That's why we are interested in you as well. Captain Liliscea is simply more readily available to provide information. And we're only gathering to compare and contrast, as I said, get a better understanding of exactly what happened that day, to try and connect them to events that have happened since. But I do think it's a fair point. She glances over at the High Protector. Perhaps we are focusing too much on the captain quite so early. You mentioned a man, the one you believe is actually the source incident. What happened to him?
This is gonna go down a slippery slope real quick. All right. So, yeah, I know. I'm trying to figure out how not to do that.
This is even more complicated than counting words for sending. You gotta
So,
real hard.
when we went into Karok, we made our way through the castle, learn a bit about how Tim Lacos works a little bit. I believe it's been a long time. We then ascended deeper into the castle, and when we got to the depths, we saw Nysali and Tim Lacos locked in some sort of magical combat-ish stuff. Both of them appeared to be kind of in a stalemate. At which point, when Nysali saw us, she summoned a bit more power in order to stun him, and we were able to subdue him. That's all right, guys, right? I remember this correctly.
That's all correct. Yes.
Okay.
I will add that it appears Nysali had trapped him in some kind of barrier, preventing him from being loosed upon the world.
Yes.
At this point, Eston, Horn Snapper, picks up in a actually a gentler voice than you would anticipate from Goliath. As how did you get past that door anyway?
Which door? Which door?
Into Karok. It was sealed.
We hit it with a dinosaur.
So, well, you see, we can give you a demonstration if you would like. And I start unbuckling my plate mail real quick.
We will gauge the size of the room.
It was an excessive amount of brute force.
It'd have to be. That sucker was sealed tight.
But it was also
Would you like a demonstration?
it was also a trap, because after we made our way inside, it resealed itself behind us, trapping us inside.
You busted through the door, but it sealed itself.
Yes.
Yes.
And then for some reason we could no longer do what we did before. Because apparently dinosaurs don't exist.
Dinosaurs don't exist.
We were very inspired. I was a giant lizard thing.
If I may, I believe the reason why we could in the first place was due to the intense... It was almost an imaginary space within Karok, and so many things that were impossible became possible, both to our benefit and to our chagrin.
So the group sort of mutters amongst itself. The sage, Keller Ellenball sage, speaks next. Fairly quietly, but again, still projecting. Mental space. So you think you... our world?
Could you say that again, Erie?
He says, so a mental space. You believe you slipped away from our world.
No, Sage. It was not a mental space, but more... The Gestalt stone that Karok was built from has a profound effect on the world around it. I mean, it's fairly well documented. I believe that it amplified, or was amplified by, the nature of Timlakos, the being that we were facing, which caused a very real effect on the world, even if it was also in everybody's minds. The illusory fires, the plagues that were not plagues, even the phantasmal dragon that was circling and climbing all over the castle. Reality bent a bit.
Because of one man.
A very, very powerful, very, very dangerous man. Yes.
Yeah.
The High Protector again pops up. You never did say where he is now.
Glances at the rest of the party.
I don't know if we could actually give you a... I don't know. Like, technically, some things about the Bloodwell are like wiped from our memory. So I could potentially say it's like, right now we don't rightly know, but we know he's in a place where he can't hurt anybody.
That's not necessarily true either. We heard that the prison isn't perfect, but we could say he's imprisoned and we're searching for a way to completely destroy him.
I don't think that'll bring in a whole other line of questioning that we don't want to go down.
Yeah.
They'll be like, how are you doing this? We're going to send guards with you to make sure this happens. And we're going to have people spying on you constantly, even more so than they already are.
I think we can get away with saying we're not really sure what's going on with him right now.
Well, that's a very bad thing. We could say that we're attempting to destroy him.
How about we say
No, bad idea.
We used a powerful artifact to seal him inside and put him in a place where nobody can find him.
Well, the problem is we're still trying to blame what's currently going on Timlakos because that's what we think. So
we can say that there's after effects of what happened. And...
question: why don't we just tell them what's going on with Temlakos, and they are already on our ass about it? So
That's-
Because
I mean,
all of a sudden they're going to be asking us about the blood well. They're going to be asking like,
which we
who
can
is-
truthfully say we can't answer that. Like, we're in the
That's-
zone of truth, guys.
that we can say whatever we want. Like that's not going to give them an answer. Like if you go into court and say like, I plead the fifth or something, like yeah, you can technically do that, but it's not
But
going to
doesn't
stop
well
them from
for you.
trying to pry at stuff.
Yeah.
And because this isn't
I
like
think honesty is not the best policy
Well,
today.
But again, here's the thing: like, we have to. If we say something, it has to be the truth.
yeah, that's what I said. We
And
sealed him in a powerful artifact, and now he's being kept somewhere where nobody knows.
yeah, but we can't really just say that. Oh yeah, this is all After Effects, since we're pretty sure that it's what he's currently doing. You know, leaking.
Are we
out
sure of that? I thought that was just a guess at
That was just a
best.
guess.
We have no evidence for that.
just tell them
Yeah,
what's going on, because I think it's probably going to cause us less trouble in the long run.
yeah, I agree with Michael. I think we can probably finagle a way to, like, if we're saying we're searching for a way to destroy him. I mean, if they try and say, "Oh yeah, we're gonna have people help you," then I mean, we can give them the slip when we've done stuff like that before.
We're not going to be
right?
able to give them a slip. We're not. These guys are way too powerful for us. Like, Bowen was casting 9th level spells, and they just shipped her away like it was nothing. Like,
Technically, that was Nisali.
No.
It was Bowen.
Bowen has cast a 9th level spell.
No,
in
no,
her-
I'm saying Nisali is the one who sent her away because she wouldn't be able to help because this is politics, not magic.
don't. Was that Nisali that said?
That's what was uncovered with the whole Xylund thing.
Oh.
Because Xylund was like, "What happened with Bowen?" And Nisali was like, "I sent her away because
Mhm.
she would she would be unable to help because Nenemith has no power here."
Yeah, well, half and half. Nisali did send Bowen away, did have Bowen leave the castle. But when you contacted Bowen, she said she was banished. She couldn't return.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, Nisali has the power to quote unquote banish her. Like, but again, this is politics, not magic.
Yeah, but I don't doubt that Darelai and all them had a hand in making sure that Bowen was banished for good.
Sure, but I mean, I agree with Michael.
I
like,
don't think we can slip away from these guys. We
Gotta decide on an answer.
Yeah, I agree with Noel. Like, if we mention the Bloodwell or point them in it in any way, it's gonna just end very badly.
Why do we have to mention the Bloodwell at all? We have
That's
him
why.
imprisoned
Well,
in a
if-
powerful artifact.
Can I make an impasse?
Mm-hmm.
We would not be able to have this discussion.
No,
Yeah.
you would not. I'm giving you guys some leeway here, but after this, the answers are going to have to come.
Let's just respond and see where it goes. If things go poorly, then they will make for a fun story.
The question was where you never said where is Tim.
Yeah, they're asking where Tim Lacos is. And I was kind of giving you guys, because it has been a long time since you've had to deal with that storyline, giving you guys a little bit of room to compare notes. But yeah, going forward, it's going to have to be much shorter.
So Lily was the last one speaking.
Mhm.
So if Kern wants to like kind of be like, I mean, he can, but she's gonna basically say what.
Okay.
At its simplest, he's imprisoned.
Lana got it. She
We're
says
trying
we
to
cannot be
destroy him.
sure. She Lana beat you to it. We cannot be sure.
Yeah.
You got it. That's Lana's contribution.
Yeah.
Cannot be sure.
Yeah, that's fair. Because we don't even know if we actually sealed him in there or not.
It's true. So Lana's answer again causes a bit of a stir. throughout the conclave. Some of those that were paying less attention are now paying a little bit more attention. Who speaks next? My protector. Can't be sure. The person that you're putting the entire incident upon. Okay. He
he's not
stops
in the city
himself. He's okay, so he's rubbing his temples and he looks up at you. He's not in the city.
And we know that we've made it a lot harder for him to hurt anybody else.
Here in Greylock, anyways.
Anywhere, really, but
But as far as where he's like really gone, shrug.
like I said, not smart magic person.
Drug. So the High Protector kind of rubs the bridge of his nose for a moment. So he's not in the city, according to you. He is not secure entirely, according to you.
We're working on that.
How?
We're right now just trying to find leads. We don't have that much information at this point.
We're doing it carefully and we're doing it quietly.
At some point between entering Act, finding this mystery man, stopping him from his nefarious crime spree, his effective attempted genocide against our city, doing him, and then getting him out of the city, you now no longer know where he is. Is that a summary of what you've just said?
So there was some weird magic stuff that we weren't 100% sure of how it worked.
Oh, we have plenty of magical experts, and he throws a gloved hand towards Maester Ludum and Mystic Cleaves.
You know, it's funny, your foremost magical expert isn't at this table, though.
He raises an eyebrow, and the Mystic actually speaks for the first time. We are happy to answer in any way that we can. We pride ourselves on breadth and depth of knowledge. So please don't fear going too technical on our behalf. We can keep up.
Oh, gosh.
We know some other experts that we trust more.
The Justice speaks up. Trust. And then stops herself for a moment. And, like, that's probably the first time you've seen a rise out of the Justice.
Yeah.
The entire time you've been here. She stops herself and mentally see her count to 5. I do have other lines of questioning. Perhaps we should shift to those, give everyone a bit of a breather. And she casts kind of a glance towards the High Protector. So she scoops up a pile of papers handed to her by a scribe. We want to make sure that our information on each of you is correct. So
Oh, gosh.
I'll give you the short version. Please make any corrections that you feel are necessary, and we will be sure to update the record accordingly. She looks at you each in turn.
Oh, no.
Fun.
This is going to be great, Erie. Thank you.
Let
so
us start with... and after apparently playing mental eeny, meeny, miny, mo, she lands on Davynn. Which of you is Davynn?
That's
He
me.
definitely knows exactly which one is Davin.
Like, how do you not? I took my shirt off last night. I'm sure you've heard of that.
That actually gets a laugh out of the Gothi of Sindalay. There are a few chuckles and giggles throughout the rest of the conclave, but the actual biggest laugh comes from Sindalay. Just ignores it and continues. Davynn from Whitfeld.
Full legal name.
Correct.
Excellent. It says here that you are actually a property owner.
Yes.
In our records, and deficient on your taxes in the amount of 172 gold. Is that correct?
Is that all?
That's what the paper says. Would you like to correct the record?
Yes, I would love to. I will take out 172 gold and plop it down on the table and say, I think it's actually 0.
I mean, we have to go actually to the tax office and do the debt, but it's like we were unaware of this point, and we will clear it up. I apologize. Just so it came to our knowledge that he was a property owner last night.
Oh, how fortunate for you. I've acquired property.
Sorry.
Um,
I sit down to Davynn. I say sorry.
But that property was acquired through probate court. Mr. Zuri. She looks up and across the room to the table where Zuri has been seated quietly throughout the whole hearing. Documents submitted by the Minor Lord Hartney. How lovely. How did you come across this property?
I suppose you could say birthright.
Yeah, I do see. Yes, it came through probate, came through inheritance. It is a far walk from Whitfeld, however. And clearly there was some sort of entanglement if it required as much documentation as this suggests.
We are adventurers. We travel.
Yes, I've heard that. Well, about the previous owners.
What about previous owners?
Both being dead.
I suppose that's true, yeah.
Mm. Oh, not to give you unsolicited or indeed unpaid for advice, but I would suggest that you pursue to see if any of the other properties connected to yours might be yours through probate, given how most of them are abandoned now with the deaths of their previous owners. She sets that paper aside.
Wait, there's more paper?
Oh yeah, she's got lots of papers.
So wait, are we? I'm
No,
sorry.
I mean, like, there's more
Did you just
properties?
threaten me with more property?
There is more property, apparently, according to the justice.
And
Guys, we're gonna have so much property.
Just another sidebar, real quick.
Hmm?
Didn't I deliver one of the owners to the
Yes.
Temple of Grennan alive?
You did.
And she just said they're both dead?
She did.
which means they were
Oh.
probably, killed, executed,
Okay.
something.
Oh, yeah, I guess I would have said something along the lines of actually just one of them or something.
With that, we'll go ahead and add that interjection because again, that did happen a long time ago. But yes, you did actually turn one of them in because Katt was there.
To be fair, they did
She
commit
took-
horrifying crimes deserving of death.
Yeah, well, let's find out what.
You know that. You know that. But yeah, one did leave with Katt. Katt took one in. The justice. They are both dead. So she does not add any more information. even when pointed out that you turned in one alive. She doesn't volunteer anything else. And simply moves on to the next paper, which is... Let's see. It says here you go by Xylund. Shrillsteel. I assume that is some sort of nom de guerre.
Okay.
I guess that's technically not lying.
Okay. We don't have terribly much information on you. About your early
Well, that's a
life,
shame.
anyway. Isn't it? Do you tend to like to keep tabs on members of the Order?
Well, I was
Keep
sort
our
of conscripted in the
faithful-
field.
That's what we understand. Although records of your time afield are scarce, as are members of your previous company.
Huh.
And yet you found your way back to us.
Oh, in a roundabout way.
That is always pleasant. Your helmet is, if you'll forgive me for saying so, a bit of an oddity. Lovely,
Thank you.
I suppose. Where was that made, or did you craft it yourself?
I made it myself. I didn't make the skull. But I turned it into a helm. Well, I did, actually, someone else did most of that for me. I did the visor.
And the effect, silver effect, is quite striking. How did you achieve that?
Well, you know.
I don't. That's why I asked.
I was going to say, that is a lie.
Well, a craftsman doesn't like to give away his secrets, you know.
I understand that, but you're not a craftsman or witness.
I can dabble. I can be both. I'm not sure how this is pertinent. I made this myself, as I mentioned, and the effect would somewhat be ruined if suddenly there were hundreds of them wandering the streets of Greylock. So
I assure you, we are not in the habit of exposing trade secrets. No one here is anxious to sell the latest gadget on the street. We're merely a fact-finding commission, so I will ask one more time. How do you achieve that effect?
well, okay, to be perfectly honest, it's not the eyes aren't actually a function of the helm. And
Fair
I'll take
enough.
off the helm.
That is certainly something that wasn't listed in your personal information. I have your eyes a decidedly different color. Should I update this?
Oh, you might as well.
And was that a byproduct of the incident or something separate?
It was an unrelated incident.
How did that happen?
Well, it's and Flop Sweat is just dripping off his silent at this point. You remember how Lily here mentioned she was a cat
Yes.
for a while?
Hard
Well,
to forget.
We had a bit of a misadventure. I was turned into a goat during that misadventure. Not that that's necessarily pertinent. But as the misadventure continued, I've ended up drinking some fluids that turned my eyes silver.
I see. And were you alone?
No, we were all there.
We're all there.
This is a separate incident. This is a totally unrelated incident.
I still find it incredibly interesting. You were the only one that was altered by your experience?
Well, I drank the most.
See,
I have a bit of a drinking problem.
that's indicated. I appreciate your honesty.
Oh, yep.
Now, here it says that you take far more than any of your companions instances with her grace.
Pardon? I didn't catch that, Yuri.
Oh, you take far more private audiences with her grace than your companions.
Yeah, Gary does.
Right?
Right? Right?
Is
Uh-huh.
there any connection there we should be aware of?
Well, I don't know if your notes say this. Probably not. But I grew up in Greylock, so I have more of a personal attachment to her grace than the rest of my company here.
You did grow up in Greylock.
Well, up to a point. I left
When did you leave?
a while ago.
Precisely. How long ago did you leave?
Around 7 years, 7, 8 years.
And did you use your current name?
Before I left?
Before you left. You lived here previously. Did you use your current name?
No.
Would you like to share what your previous name was with the Conclave?
I don't see how it's pertinent.
Do you not see how it's pertinent, or you don't wish to share?
Both. I don't see how it's pertinent, and I don't wish to share.
Was it like Reginald or something? Was it embarrassing?
I'm not sure how this connects to... I'm a little bit concerned by the whole tenor of this conclave meeting here. It seems like you're deliberately trying to throw us off balance now. It seems like there's a very antagonistic vibe happening here. Like, I'm not sure what these prying, probing questions are meant to achieve other than to just rattle us. So, yeah, I don't want to share.
Well, this is an investigative probe.
And what are we accused of? Like, we're being interrogated like we're accused of some crime.
I'm simply making sure our records are complete and resolving any...
Your records are complete enough. The person I was died in battle. I'm Xylund Shrillsteel.
Should we just move on to the next person? Let's just move on to the next person. He can be very difficult.
Seems to have touched a nerve. Fair enough. In due time.
Was it like Beatrix or something?
Let's see. We have plenty of information on you, good sir.
Who?
Kern,
Oh.
Yes.
you've been actually vouched for by the Church of Inaline.
Cool.
The seer herself. And the seer does nod. Says you've been of some help to them on various occasions. And you have a ship.
Yes.
Now, that ship was commissioned on your behalf by Her Grace. Correct.
Yes.
But you had free hand in its design and construction?
I thought that since it was being commissioned for us, might as well help design it.
And along that design, there were some features, cannons that could be
Okay.
altered to channel magical energy, plating and other advancements that, quite frankly, Shipwright wasn't able to entirely implement. A lot of very rare and costly materials. Have you offered any resources other than the realms in the commission of your ship?
Well, as far as the base ship goes, as far as like the wooden stuff, no, because that was that. But I did ask, I actually think I did ask how we could procure those, and I would not be opposed to paying for that stuff ourselves or finding it.
That's always good to know.
But also, if it's not possible, it was just a pie in the sky hope. I'm happy with really whatever we would have gotten.
Oh, well, your ship is effectively complete from what I understand.
Oh, that's good.
Quite a lot of time and energy was put towards it. There was an entire volunteer crew working an additional shift in order to complete it early. Also, at the behest of Her Grace. Were you aware of that?
I did not know that, but I am thankful for that.
So it would be entirely shocking to you that Her Grace would want you on the seas as quickly as possible.
Well, I believe we were supposed to be some sort of diplomatic arm of Her Grace, so...
That is my understanding as well. We will touch on that in a moment.
Yeah.
Now, touching on your family, quite an extensive one. And I try not to target family members who are unrelated to these proceedings.
Yep.
But
and I would
there
appreciate it.
is a notable exception. One of your siblings was reported for piracy recently off the coast of Greylock. Did that have anything to do with perhaps the push to get you back on the high seas?
I did not know that. I have only recently been in communication with my family, and only the people from back at home, and really only one person. So I did not know that.
I see. I imagine your travels keep you away. How long ago was that?
How long ago was what exactly?
Your last communication with your family.
I don't know, besides just saying hey and checking in, couple months.
It's amazing how quickly the outside world can move.
Yeah.
I thank you for your information. Now, looks like two of our guests are related. How lovely. I'll make it go faster. Lily and Lana. You are not mated to Greylock.
No, Justice.
Aye, ma'am.
And where are you from initially?
Well, we originally from a small hamlet. I don't even know if it had a name, but we spent a large chunk of time in Merryford.
Lovely place. Were you students?
My
Hi,
sister
ma'am.
was.
I've heard of your something about an inn last night, and she looks over towards the Gothi of Sindalay.
Lily winces.
But I guess as a graduate of college, some leeway. Goes out and spitting his helmet back on. Is he going to his safe space now?
Yep.
So from Merryford, no surviving family we were able to locate.
They're all dead.
It's a shame. We come to understand in fairly tragic ways. Quite a few people you come in contact with seem to meet that end. All of you. She casts a wide glance.
Well, I'm
We
not
lead
sure there
dangerous
was
lives.
Apparently.
I'm not entirely sure there was a question there, Justice, but our family brought it upon themselves. We were not involved in that.
No, we would never suggest. However, did spend some time with High Priestess Bowen in Northshire. Apparently seeking to be ordained at some point.
Indeed, Justice.
And that did not prove out.
I think it's a work in progress.
Do you have priestly aspirations?
I definitely felt a connection of sorts with Priestess Bowen, and I hold great respect and regard for Nenemith. So, in some form or fashion, yes, Justice.
She was with you during the incident, correct?
Somewhat yes and
She
somewhat
emerged
no.
from the castle. Somewhat no. I see.
We were able to recover her. She was apparently lost for a while due to an incident that I was not a part of. I don't have a whole lot of specifics, but we were relieved to be able to recover her, nonetheless.
And the maester pipes up. Lost is probably the best term to apply. Not sure she's entirely recovered.
She is making great strides, Maester.
Justice kind of hushes him. Talented. And a good teacher. I am grateful that you were able to recover her as you were. And you have been traveling with this group exclusively?
There was a brief period of time in which we parted ways for one reason or another, mainly efficiency.
Which you can see in our play.
That is the incident I was referring to, yes. Beyond the time I spent in Northshire with Priestess Bowen.
What brought you to Greylock initially? Either of you?
Well, for me, it was the libraries. My sister has her own motivations.
See.
Damn.
I see. To that end, you spent time in Karat, I imagine. Been guests of Her Grace.
Yes, Justice.
Has she gifted you anything? A property?
Oh,
Any
no.
treasures?
Hold on.
I mean, we did get a whole bunch of stuff from her.
I'm
I didn't.
trying
I
to
stole it.
see-
Ah,
No,
she stole it.
Well, no. I'm talking about like all the gold we got, and then
Yeah.
the titles and
Yes,
stuff.
you
So
didn't-
yes,
But-
we did.
But Lily didn't get any of that.
Neither
No.
She
did
didn't
I.
get any of the gold. She didn't get any of the gems, and she got nothing from Isali.
One
Not
thing I
personally.
took was specifically her asking her not to prosecute me.
So Lily is going to say, "No, Justice. I personally have not received anything from Her Grace beyond the collective ownership of the ship."
See. I will say that you've provided, just on a personal note, quite a bit of information and some very interesting theories as to the nature of the incident. So I do commend you for your honesty there. And you, and she looks over at you, Lana, perhaps fewer displays. Be amiss? As much lenience as we... Huh?
I think you cut out for a second.
I cut it out again?
did.
Okay. Fewer displays would not run amiss. As lenient as we are of bards in our realm, productions generally lead to nervous citizens. She sort of gives herself a little nod.
Honest,
Then
it's fun.
goes back to Hildreth. And she's shuffling through her papers as she looks at you, Hildreth. And she says, I have increasingly conflicting notes about the last member of your party.
So do we.
Have
In
you...
fact, I'm not entirely sure why he's here. He was not a part of the Greylock incident.
It's not. Okay. That makes me feel a little bit better because my information says he is a mushroom. And
Oh.
good sir,
different.
do not
Lana.
look
I think
like a mushroom.
I think at that point, like, Kern just starts slapping his ass.
Justice, if I may, the individual you were referring to was a very, very temporary member of our party, and he has since gone his own way.
I see.
And while not actually a mushroom, he had several growing out of him, which would probably explain the confusion.
It is quite a confusing report, to be sure. And
was
she
a very-
even cracks a smile a little bit.
Rest assured, Justice, he was a very confusing individual. I don't believe even we really understood him.
She nods. So, sir, then, if you could give us your name for the record?
That's you, Twinki.
Yeah. Is your mic muted again?
Twinkie is typing.
He is typing.
Nope. We
Nope.
cannot
Cannot.
hear you.
Can anyone hear me now?
Hey! Now we can hear you. All right. What is your name for the record?
Hildreth.
You were not party to the incident in Karacht.
I was not.
You have no information as to the whereabouts of the suggested retreat.
That is correct.
Thank God Hildreth was not a part of anything.
No.
I think we're being invasive.
Yeah. So, from where do you hail then, sir?
Kern takes out a piece of paper and pen.
Even if the small village I came from had a name, it's been so long I wouldn't remember it.
No!
And and now you travel with the now you travel with the agents of Greylock. Were you also ordained as an agent?
I was not. I work for a third party who wishes to remain anonymous in this matter.
I see. Why would they want to remain anonymous in this matter?
As I am not one of them and merely their employee, I would not begin to guess as to their motives.
You do understand that that is highly suspicious.
Kern is just like shaking his head.
You'll forgive me, Your Honor, but amongst all the things till today, I find that not delving the names of my employers is one of the least suspicious things to be mentioned.
Lily just coughs.
From across the room, you hear the headman of Tenon going, "You ain't wrong there."
Are we sure Hildreth isn't Ulrich in a very fancy disguise?
Come on. I thought you were on our side.
Nope. I never thought that.
Yeah, that's you.
Lily never
And
thought that.
am I right?
I won't say.
Oh, Sir Hildreth, have you met Her Grace?
I don't believe I have.
Either before or after the incident?
It's possible I met her after. People that aren't on my list, I tend not to pay too much attention to.
Or list?
A list given to me by my employers of whom I need to keep tabs on.
He basically just admitted he was a spy.
Can we see your list?
It's not a physical list, but I assure you the names on this list are those seated before you in this inquiry.
Oh,
And he'll
God.
vaguely gesture to the party.
I see. You are effectually a spy.
If I were a spy, I'd have something to hide. I'm merely an observer working for a third party. I have nothing to hide.
Except everything.
Except everything.
Have you had dealings with Captain Liliscea?
I do not believe so.
Never worked for her professionally or perhaps through a intermediary? She has several.
Except for my employers, I've only worked in conjunction with others as it allowed me to keep tabs on the aforementioned party.
See. And you're unwilling to tell us who your employers are.
That is correct, as it would be a breach of contract. I'm sure you understand.
We understand contract. Now, Sir Hildreth, I will bring this up in the most delicate way that I can. We, of course, are not blind to matters of the arcane, as well as the movings of the divine. And we sense that we're not entirely as you appear.
How do you mean?
That perhaps you have a entity of some origination attached to you.
That is correct.
Is correct. Is that something we should be concerned about?
Absolutely not. You've no more to worry about Saya than you do Zohar. And he'll stroke his falcon's neck.
Have a name?
Falcon is actually secretly a Tarask.
It has. See, would it be a stretch to say you're a member of a circle?
I am not a member of a circle. Assuming by circle you mean druids.
We do.
I am not.
I see. She looks over at the priestess of Essen. Oh. I will withhold any further questioning for now. We might have more questions for you later. I would like to return. He'll not? Okay. Would like to return to Her Grace. Now that we have you explained a good point. You all have met with Her Grace, with exception. Of course, Sir Hildreth. You have seen her before and after the incident. She seems much changed, and we believe that has to do with the effects of the incident. As we were not there to witness it, we are unable to diagnose what the problem may be. We do have a record of Master Xylund entering Keracht recently, so I would like to ask him what he observed with his recent visit with Her Grace.
Well, I think that she is isolated. I think that after enduring this interrogation, it seems that she's picked up on the vibe that you're all giving her the old side eye. So she feels really alone in the world, and the fact that you've are apparently holding her confidant, one of her closest friends, in your custody probably isn't helping matters. I don't think that she is what's the word I'm looking for? A hopeless case. I think that her main problem at the moment is just her isolation and perhaps the trauma of her recent ordeals, exacerbated by the detention of Captain Katt.
CC.
Why do you feel that Captain Leofera is so instrumental in Her Grace's mental clarity?
I think that Her Grace is tends to be a little bit aloof, given her sort of status in the world, and that for whatever reason, Captain Katt serves as a grounding influence, a connection to the wider world. I don't really think there's any need to read any more into it than that. I think that she trusts Captain Katt, and I trust Captain Katt, and I think that her current despondency would definitely be alleviated by Katt's influence.
Do you believe Her Grace is in a correct frame of mind?
I don't think anyone is. Correct? Define correct.
Well, everyone is not ruling the realm. Do you believe Her Grace is capable of making rational decisions currently?
Well,
Well,
I believe that
Start.
currently she's at a bit of a having a low moment. I would not I would say that she's has every right to be feeling a bit down given the circumstances I've already outlined, and it seems a little bit ungrateful for you lot to immediately try to dispose of her as soon as she becomes a little bit inconvenient, considering how much she's suffered and given up for the sake of this city. I think if there is a means of repaying her sacrifice by giving her the benefit of the doubt and releasing Captain Katt and seeing what effect that has on her, then that's what we owe to her. And, you know, anything less than that is just cretinous, with all due respect.
Justice kind of sits back. Open it to the rest of the floor. Each of you can have, one or two lines of questioning. But keep it brief and respectful, please. And she points over at the Eye Protector. So he gets to go first.
oh god, no.
I roll my eyes behind my helmet.
Can also
He's
go well.
sitting forth. He leans forward, elbows on his knees, ready to go. Okay. Her Grace. It's clearly changed. You would admit that.
As I said, I wouldn't say that she's necessarily changed. Changed implies like he's an air of permanence. Like she was one thing and now she's another thing. I think she's the same as she always was. She's just
differently than she has in the past.
For now, I'll grant you that. Yes.
And this was immediately after the incident.
I'm not sure about that. I don't think she seemed... I saw her shortly after the incident, and she seemed worn out, but she didn't seem quite as
Despondent?
Despondent, thank you. Despondent as she does now. And
she's deteriorating.
Well, you're not helping matters, are you? I mean, she's isolated up there. You guys are trying to... There's Orm at the gates, and you guys, for some reason, are trying to destabilize the city further by taking her out of power. It makes no sense to me.
Yes, let it out.
The High Protector raises a hand and goes, I would like to interject here that Orm is not a party to this Inquisition and really has absolutely no bearing on what we're discussing.
So why not tell them to shove off?
That is a sensitive diplomatic matter for which we need a strong, rational leader, which is exactly why we are having this conversation.
So, in fact, Orem is prevalent to this conversation by your own admission?
Yeah.
Also, if you want us to tell them to shove off, we can do that in a very rational way.
I understand that Her Grace gave you some level of diplomatic autonomy, but I assure you, you are not, at this point in time, empowered to speak for the realm as a whole.
I will agree with that.
Thank the deities for that, actually.
So the High Protector presses on, although you can see the Justice getting fidgety. She's letting him go for another round. During the incident, he's looking at you, Kern, mostly. You discovered Her Grace creating a barrier around the individual you believe to be responsible.
Sidebar: had we seen this guy? Actually, it doesn't matter because, I'll just say yes. Yes.
Okay. I mean, that is technically what you saw. Yeah.
Yes.
It was. Yes, that is technically what you saw. There was a barrier, a cocoon, or what it was, you don't know. But that is technically what you saw.
And when we came across Nasali, when she was like kneeling in that little church thing, she said she was holding him back as well.
Yeah. Yes.
So that barrier, you, as a God-fearing man, would have no indication on what the purpose of that was, other than what she told you.
I had no doubt to mistrust Nisali.
That is what I asked.
I mean, she told us what it was, and so I believed.
And there was no outside corroboration to confirm or deny what she said was true.
Are you gonna question it in Mattel? Because I'm not.
I mean, we've all heard like the great and powerful things that Nisali can do, right? So when she says, I'm creating a barrier to stop all this stuff, and you see her physically struggling, do something like this, yeah, I'm assuming she's not putting herself in that much pain and then going to lie about it.
At this point, the Justice does speak up. As a point of order, Grace's powers are undisputed and quite legendary, but they are not precisely person to person. She's an accomplished oracle and seer. She is a noted empath and channeler from what realms exist there. But she's not precisely a one-to-one dueler.
If I may.
Not that I'm please.
She wasn't precisely dueling. It was more of she was putting all of her efforts into maintaining this barrier so that Timlakos could not escape. And based off of our conversation with Timlakos prior to the confrontation, he was trying to convince us to release him. It did not go as he wished.
The High Protector pipes up, as far as you know, since you're not entirely sure where he is at this point in time.
Yes.
Indeed.
So the Justice kind of waves, like High Protector wants to keep going. The Justice kind of waves him off a little bit. It's an attributive circle of restraint, sir. So Eston, the Rudek, pipes out and says, I'm still amazed you got that door down, to be honest.
I'm a sorcerer.
Like I said, we could put it on if you so wish.
Actually,
I don't think I want to see it, but I'm impressed.
Are you sure? Start unbuckling.
No. I don't know.
Regardless of my companion's enthusiasm for the idea, I don't believe we could actually reproduce it without the unique effects of what happened with Karoct.
But we could give you an idea.
So the Rudek laughs. I don't think I need to see, I don't need to see a live recreation. I just color me impressed. Starts trying to find it looks like this. I do have a
Did
question.
somebody have minor illusion?
You have a
I
bard.
really, they just told us don't flaunt magic.
Okay,
Yeah.
fine.
So the rude deck continues. My only question for the lot of you is her grace crazy? No, just in plain language, is her grace crazy?
No.
No.
She's not crazy.
Crazy powerful.
Would you lie to protect her?
No.
We also can't.
Honestly, yes,
Also,
but
yes,
I would lie to
but
protect a lot of
good.
people.
And I'm where you can't lie. That's why I asked the question. All of you have to answer. Would
I
you
know.
lie?
I know. I'm trying to put this.
I would not lie to protect her grace, especially if doing so led to a deterioration in the safety and happiness of a greater number of people.
That's a longer answer than I needed, but thank you. What about you? Points at you, Silent. So, sir.
I would do whatever I have to do to protect your grace from people who I think are falsely accusing her.
You think we're falsely accusing her?
I think your doubts are... I'm not disputing that you have honest doubts about her mental state. I just think that they are being manipulated and exaggerated for political gain.
She looks over at the Cleric of Essen, who hasn't said boo throughout this whole thing. Pretty much been keeping to herself. And the Lady of Essen lifts her head. I think that's very kind.
No, I wouldn't lie. I don't think she'd want us to lie.
I don't think she would either. That's it. She sort of drops her gaze. The overseer pipes up. Okay, first things first. That helmet is amazing. I would love it if you would come down and let us, look at it a little bit. When you have time.
I'd be
If
happy
you
to.
have time.
Yep.
That would be great.
As long as you understand that the technology is proprietary.
Yes, proprietary. I understand. Trade secrets, you understand. No, we're not worried about that. We just want to look at it.
Yep, definitely.
Just want to touch it. Okay. Now that that's out of the way, I move that this is incredibly boring. And, yeah. I think the High Protector has talked way too much. And why do you call her Cad anyway? He stopped himself mid-thought.
That's how we were first introduced to her.
I've only ever heard her called Captain Leafair. That's good information.
Also
to know,
easier
though.
to remember over the course of 2 years.
It is simpler. I like it. I like you guys. Seem to be a good sort. Not at all what I expected. Really different. But anyway.
Most people find that we are not what they expected.
You look at the plays and he kind of shoots an elbow out towards the Gothi of Sindalay who's sitting next to him. I mean, now he's gesturing to you. Can you, tighten it up a little, or... I'm not to criticize the craft, but there's some discrepancy here.
Lily looks down at her. Lily looks down at her rumpled clothes and ratty hair and general look of exhaustion. I understand there was some creative liberties taken in order to spice up the characters.
So the Gothi talks as well. That's always necessary. Call, you know that. I think You all have done a wonderful job. I don't have any questions other than I understand there was a bit of a improvisational set at the last show.
I plead the fifth.
Yes, there was.
Nice.
You can hear the High Protector snort from his side of the room. It was quite a provocative piece of theater. I believe you were speaking very emphatically.
Art should be provocative.
Her enthusiasm and affection for her grace might have gotten the better of us. We'll try to be a little bit more low-key in the future.
It definitely does sound like you have a side. All of this. That's all.
We care about the city, so obviously we're going to take a side.
As first-hand observers, it would
She
be
kinda
wrong for us not to.
Lily's twitching
Ma'am.
right now. Just lone-eyed twitch. Just constantly.
So O'Near passes. He just puts up a hand. He is not interested in this at all. He appears to have zero questions. Then it jumps over to the other side of the room, so it actually picks up with Seer, the Seer of Inaline, Sorith, who speaks in a fairly clear voice. I too have no questions. I will state for the record that the Temple of Inaline continues its research with or without assistance from the Mount. And we hope to provide at least some level of verification as quickly as we can. I also renew our respect for Cleric Kern and his compatriots. I believe that this intensive questioning went well beyond the scope of this initial inquiry. And being that she's diametrically opposed physically, Merildus has zero problem staring him down as she says that. Furthermore, we're tired of the color red. Just a general statement. And if I see it on my docks again, we will have to take some drastic eradication measures.
Hear, hear.
Tenem, the headman, is still flipping his coin. He catches it in midair. I got nothing against the color red. I think she's kicking me out, though, and I don't appreciate it. And she laughs, then he laughs, and the rest of the conclave laugh, except for the High Protector. He ain't laughing.
I just want to point out the unfortunate implications of color red's eradication.
Yeah, I understand. As far as Tenem goes, we've heard tales. We've heard better tales. No offense, Buffy, but tales are always better than these fancy pub shows. And yeah, we're fine. I don't think we need to question these folks. We might want to send some packages with you next time you depart, though.
Oh,
Just fun.
Of course.
And that leads to Darrelai, the dual delegation from Darrelai. So it's Maester Ludum who clears his throat. He speaks first. Says, our reservations are well known. I do want to touch upon one other bit of information that was not covered by our fair justice, and that is the contract to employ Minor Lord Hartney. Was questioned by this inquiry and later demoted as a result. He looks dead at Xylund. Is it not your intention to purchase the child?
Oh,
Not wrong.
that wasn't those weren't the terms of the contract. I promised that I would return him safely, or I would I would owe you money. And I returned him safely. I don't know why you demoted him. He's great. Gale is great. If anyone takes anything from this hearing, it should be Gale is great.
Gale is the best.
So you are still in contact with Lord Hartney?
No, because you demoted him. I mean, where is he?
It's not in my professional description to keep tabs on every minor lord.
Well, whatever your reasoning for demoting him, it was bullshit.
Maester Ludum kind of clears his throat, adjusts his glasses a little bit, straightens his robes. He was found to be deceptive and attempted to obfuscate certain ties.
Yes.
It had to be done.
Well, he's just a teenager. I mean, he probably felt some personal loyalty to us after traveling with us for so long and thought he was doing us a favor by maybe keeping us out of harm's way, would be my guess. But maybe his judgment was a little off there, but
But he's still great.
yeah, and he should. I mean, it's not like he was super high ranking in the first place. That you should expect that kind of behavior from novices. That's how they learn.
Those may not be the ties that they're referring to.
Oh, okay. Was it something else then?
He conferred outside of his church. Just leave it at that.
Oh.
I would recommend that you try not to bother the lad in his new life. Just friendly warning. But
He
I
didn't go
Real
over to
breaking
Orem,
Gale,
did he?
right?
Did you say, Xylund?
He didn't go over to Orem, did he?
Mr. Ludum doesn't know. Or isn't saying. So it's the Mystic's turn. She too thanks you for your time, for helping us attempt to piece together the tragedy that occurred to our fair city. Information has proved quite valuable. And we will definitely begin to work on a theory and ideally bring her grace back to some shred of sanity. God's willing. Other information you can give us about her condition, since you've seen her so recently?
Wouldn't say that she's not sane.
I honestly do think the majority of her current state of mind comes from just isolation and loneliness. So again, just to reemphasize, this is the other thing you should take from this hearing, aside from Gale is great. Free Katt. Or Captain Leofair.
He wishes to free her.
Hmm?
I don't believe
was she-
she's being held prisoner.
Isn't she? Well, then where is she?
Justice speaks up. She's being detained in case we need to ask her additional questions.
Can she not be? What's the word?
What is
Are we
she
going to be
doing?
detained after this in case we have you have extra questions for us?
Justice kind of laughs. No, I don't think so.
Then why is she
Should
being
we?
detained?
I don't think so.
The captain has enemies, as one in her line of work typically does. We simply want to be able to know where she is at any given time, in case we have questions. My understanding is that she's been ill lately.
Can we see her?
Relatively sure we can arrange that.
Good.
Darelai nods. Goes over to Rush, who again has said nothing, and continues to say nothing. basically scratches their leg and rolls their eyes and shifts in their seat. And that's it. That's all they have to contribute. They have lost whatever enthusiasm they initially had at the beginning of the session. It's gone on too long. Then you have this firefather, the dwarf, leans forward and is like, I was going to complain about being called from so far, but this has been pretty interesting, I gotta say. I appreciate you all at least making it entertaining. And the other witnesses have been half as exciting. Should come into Inquisitions more often.
We could have made it a lot more interesting if people wanted to see how we broke down the walls.
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe since we're here, we can try it again since we're like close to where we did it last time. Maybe it'll happen a second time.
Kind of snorts, jingles, holds a picture of dinosaur. More sensitive folks might not want to see a full recreation. I think we got a decent idea about what went on.
I think you underestimate your people.
Possibly. Well, perhaps when we're not in the middle of Autonova. I'd be up for that after a couple drinks. We'll see. Then it goes to Color Ellenball, the sage. Again, nods and thanks you for your participation, but is more interested in talking to Hildreth.
Oh, interesting.
I am entirely curious. Your entity seems so strange and yet very familiar. I would, if you're at all interested, invite you to come visit the Grove and perhaps allow us to chat, stay, exchange information.
Perhaps. As long as it doesn't interfere with my previous duties.
Your list.
Yes.
She kind of laughs a little bit. You would never dream of taking you from your duty.
Duty.
So she looks back at the Justice, and the Justice says, well, I believe we have all the information we need for now. Have said we do appreciate you coming in. It was a bit of a surprise to find you within the city, but I'm glad you arrived and arrived safely. We have taken all your information down, all your testimony, and it will be considered along with everything else. If we need you again, we'll just send for you.
Okay.
Should we send for you at the inn or at Master Davynn's property?
Probably the inn. I don't think we're going to be there anytime soon.
Probably the inn for right now. For as long as we're in town.
Since we are on the subject, before we close, Master Davynn, would you
Yes?
like us to send some sort of protection? It's unlike a lord, just yourself, to have property that is not seen.
Would I have to pay for said protection?
Well, if we use
Don't.
resources of the realm, then it's always appreciated.
I will say no then, because you guys took like all of my money.
For taxes.
With tax, yes.
I see. Well, we will leave it then. I hope it isn't stumbled upon by anyone else. I would
I hope that
advise
person who
that-
stumbles upon it is ready for. I hope nobody stumbles upon it as well.
Oh. Thank you.
I would like to make a closing statement.
The Justice
You
looks
don't get to make a closing
surprised
statement.
and amused and looks at Aldrich. we will open the floor to Sir Hildreth.
Many of the questions here involve people I don't understand or know anything about. But if what I understand is correct, what this group of individuals, and he looks at the party at that one, has accomplished, I think we can understand is for the betterment of Greylock or people at large. For them to have accomplished this, they would not have been able to do it alone, for they are indeed powerful and competent, but like any weapon needs to be directed. Whoever has been directing them towards whatever goals they've been accomplishing, I do believe keeping them in a position where they can continue to guide this group of individuals would be beneficial for all parties involved.
You get a smattering of applause from those that you would expect. Inaline is on board. Tenem is loosely on board. Keller Eleval's on board. Yeah, you have a smattering. Xana, smattering of support. Your speech.
Check that out.
Very nice. The justice actually smiles and stands, and it says, "I agree, and that was well said. For all of your obvious concerns about what may be transpiring and what conspiracy theories you may have concocted for yourselves, we do truly appreciate what you have given this city, what you have done for this city, for her grace, and for the realm at large. And we don't wish to make you feel otherwise. It's simply information that we need to make the best decision for everyone. And we would be remiss if we didn't bring in our greatest heroes of the moment and their brains, so to speak. So again, you have our thanks. We are in your debt. Appreciate your time. You are free to go. If you would like to see Captain Liliscea, I believe we can arrange that before you leave the conclave, if you wish.
Yes.
Please.
Absolutely.
She sits back down, and the sort of the buzziness, the busyness of the room picks back up again. Zuri comes over and waits until you guys are close enough together. He kind of tries to herd you along like cats and get you out of the conclave itself, the actual rotunda room, and into the waiting room with the massive chandelier. So you're out of the zone of truth, effectively.
Yeah.
And, says, well, that wasn't half bad.
Did we do okay?
The moment
said
Davynn
half
steps out
bad.
of the Stone of Truth, he's going to say, I think that went well.
So it was like 3/4 bad, 7/8 bad. How much bad was it?
Wasn't half bad, not half bad. I'm surprised, actually. Honestly, I thought Rildis was going to go harder than he did.
Maybe
Honestly,
the speech that we made last night helped. Put him in
No.
I
check.
think
I
it was
don't think that helped.
very
no.
much counterproductive.
It's between you, me, and whoever is currently listening. He heard about that speech, and I know for a fact that there was a small tactical team put together to haul in any rogue casters that might be in a very specific location. He got talked out of it, though. He was not amused.
Everything about the situation could have been handled so much better.
That is life, and doubly so for politics. Yes, he was.
I mean,
He could try.
We certainly could.
Yeah.
I'll be honest.
Let's
I'm
not
getting
get too
real-
cocky here.
No,
I mean,
I'm fine with being arrested. I'm just getting tired of, the whole magic, bad, evil.
Yeah, well, we're working on that.
anyways,
Don't
Cat.
work on it by just letting them keep on doing it.
No,
Yes.
but what would you have us do?
Public displays of magic, Davynn, are only going to play upon people's fears.
Public displays of magic from their beloved figure from the play that they just watched.
I think you might be selling us a little too much.
Blame Stanley for that.
Azuri does poke in. He's like, to be fair, High Protector is a hothead, and your fame and what you've done for the city did help temper that. I understand the prejudices, and he kind of bobs and weave around that around that terminology. I honestly don't think he would have gone through with it, and it is what it is, unfortunately. But that's the world we live in. On the positive side, I figured you would want to talk to the captain.
Yes, cat.
Cat. I will remember that and never use it. So, she can be brought up from the cells if you would like to go and see her before you leave.
Absolutely.
Of course,
Yes.
we'll warn you that everything you say and do is watched.
So we shouldn't try to break her out?
Kind of laughs, but it's not a full laugh. It's like he's not entirely
Please,
sure.
for the love of God, don't do that.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not sure if you're serious. I'm hoping you're not. But if you come with me, I'll take you downstairs. And just, are listening.
So she's being held here at the conclave?
In the basement, to be precise. Yes.
All right, see you later, Hildreth. We're going down.
I don't think you'll be leaving without me.
No. You can stay up here. We'll come back for you later.
What? Hildreth just gave a stellar concluding speech there.
And also admitted that he's been spying on us, which we have known, and still refuses to let us know who that is. So whether that's for nefarious purposes or not, we don't know. So I'm assuming the worst. So bye,
basically nothing
Hildreth.
has changed, and also he helped us.
Never.
Bye, Hildreth. And I walk away.
You can come, Hildreth. Don't listen to him.
Yeah, you're cool. I think. I hope. Probably.
Did we lose someone?
We're losing someone and getting them back. And
That's my microphone messing up.
Noel's out of here.
Yeah, we also lost Noel.
Oh, gosh.
No, everyone's leaving.
No.
Okay.
Twinki's back, but we lost Noel.
You lost Noel forever.
Next is also back.
Okay.
Yay. I know.
Noel?
Like,
There's Noel. Okay. We're all back. Huzzah. Okay.
Anywho, as
So-
Hildreth was saying in response to Xylund,
Don't worry. I'm not under his employ. I'd follow you anyway. One way or another.
That sounds awfully ominous because I can hear it back. And totally something that somebody who's friendly would say. All right.
Does that mean you can turn into a ghost and follow
No.
us?
Maybe.
Kern, have you ever thought about maybe part of the reason why Hildreth is saying all that he is because it riles you up?
I don't care.
I don't understand what the purpose of that would be.
Yeah.
Amusement mostly.
I don't think he gets amused in the way that
We traveled hundreds of miles in less than 24 hours, and he somehow found out where we were.
Well, we've done that before. We went in that tree and it came out in a different tree.
also, yeah, how did that happen?
Well, if you don't understand how it worked for you, I'm not certain you'd understand how it worked for me.
But was it the same deal, going in a tree and coming
No,
out
no,
a
no,
different
no.
tree?
Don't lead him. What happened? How did you get here?
Similar means.
No, I want exact. Tell me what happened.
What is that information worth for you?
If you're going to be following us around, I'd like to know.
I'll tell you what you want to know in exchange for one of your tears of sadness.
Okay, when
have
I cry
concerns.
next time, I'll give you one. If you're around.
And
Then
when
tell
that
us.
happens, I will tell you
Nope.
how I got here.
Nope. I am trustworthy. I have not hid anything.
You
from-
got a brother or sister who's a pirate. I mean,
I didn't know that.
bullshit.
That's news to me.
I'd like to point out I haven't hidden anything this entire time either.
Exactly. He's perfectly upfront that he's,
He still
spying on
hasn't
us.
answered the question is how he's got here.
You haven't given me a tear of sadness yet. I think we're even.
No.
To be fair, Kern
No.
was the only person who had an individual speak up for them at that council.
No. I am not taking the chance with the people that I love around here, potentially having this guy put us in danger. I'm not taking that chance.
That's fair. It's very fair.
I'll
As
keep
a
an eye.
show of good faith.
No, I'm done with keeping an eye on him. Unless he can come clean and convince us why he should stay, I don't see why he should be following us around anymore.
As a show of good faith, I will give you the information you want to know before payment has been delivered. The answer to your question. I also came via tree.
See?
Okay. How hard was that?
How hard is it for you to cry tears of sadness?
Not very hard.
Then it shouldn't take long for me to get what I need.
But how did he know we came to Greylock? I mean, he
That's a
wasn't-
different question with a different price.
Well, no, fuck it. I don't care. I'll give you a tear of sadness when I can, but I'm not comfortable with you.
That's all right. Most people aren't.
So you can leave.
Zuri's been
I'm
watching this entire standing at the bottom of the steps. And you have this spat later.
Yeah, this seems
You
like
can have it later.
a private inn type conversation.
We're all welcome down here.
Maybe we can have Katt drill into his mind.
Okay. He leads you down a few flights of stone steps into a totally different level of the conclave. Just as old as the ones above. These are old school dungeon style jail cells. Everything down here smells wet and gross and like paper pulp and faintly of poop. There's a guard room immediately at the bottom of the steps, and there seem to be other rooms beyond that. And the entire primary section outside of the guard room, there's one major thick iron bar door that leads deeper into the cells themselves. And then the primary room outside of the guard station is kind of open tables and chairs. It's a sort of a guard hangout. You can see guards hanging out as well as clerics of Grennan, various ranks. The magister pokes his head into the guard station, gets somebody to come out and actually unlock a massive iron door to go deeper inside. Guards and the lower level clerics kind of watch you curiously. Get a couple of nods and a few half smiles, but nobody really talks to you. Zuri leads you through the door not pausing for very much, and takes you into what is still very much a dungeon cell, except this one's been suited with a bench and a couple tables and some standalone stools that have been stacked in a corner. So you can kind of set up your own seating arrangements. There is a door on the far side. This one is just an actual iron door. No apparent mechanism on your side as to how to open it. No windows, no slots, no nothing. Just a big solid iron door. So when Suri is confident that you all are okay, he goes back into the hall. He shuts the iron bar door behind him. Be back in a bit. And he walks away with the guard. You guys sort of get yourself situated in the room, sitting on stools and such. The solid iron door opens and led into the room by two guards who seem to be supporting her under her arms a little bit. You're not entirely sure she's walking. Under her own power is a fairly bedraggled looking cat. Normally her hair is in a braid, and the braid has slowly become unspun. It's just kind of... Missed that.
Oh, I laughed because you said unfun. That's
Oh,
a great descriptor.
You said unspun.
Oh, I thought you said unfun. I'm like, oh, that's horror.
No, it's become unspun. It's just hanging on for dear life at the very edge, the bottom of it. The rest of it has pulled mostly free. She looks tired, and she's got kind of a cough. She rattles one out as she sits down. The two guards do leave her there. They go back behind the iron door and they shut it. So now it's just you all. You don't see or hear any additional guards. You can kind of hear the general noise of metal clanging and voices shouting from deeper into the jail, but it's all very echoey and fairly far away. And Katt sits there, her hands clasped and resting on the table, her head still mostly down.
Katt,
You all right?
what have they done to you?
She looks up, eyes are a little bit bloodshot. See under her, one of her arms is still bandaged, the one that she dislocated the shoulder. It's not in a sling anymore, but it's still sort of bandaged and splinted a little bit. But yeah, eyes are bloodshot. It looks like she's got a fading bruise around one eye. Lips are cracked. She definitely looks paler than normal.
I'm gonna
And she gives
slide
a
over,
hearty cough.
slide over my water skin.
And she shakes her head, picks up her hand far enough to wave it away. Everything makes me sick these days. I didn't know you guys were
okay,
back.
but it doesn't look like you.
Yeah, we just got into town.
Only to find out that there's this mess with Aurum and her grace and you and
Oh, Her Grace, yes. The Inquisition. That's a clusterfuck and a half.
Are they? I'm not gonna lie, Katt. You look like you're in pretty bad shape.
Is there anything you can do for her, Kern?
Oh, sweet. I wouldn't try it. Magic is, even divine magic, is heavily penalized if you're not a guard. And I'm sure you'll be fine. Heroes of Karat and all.
What are they doing to you in here?
I'm fine. I'm sick.
But you got a freaking bruised eye and split lips. Like,
Well, that was a minor misunderstanding. Then they opened the door and they thought I would gonna go through quietly. I lost that particular misunderstanding.
What about the nature of your illness? I might be able to help.
Oh no, they have this lovely doctor that comes to see me.
Insight rolls are we allowed to start making now?
How close is our boat to the Temple of Ainul?
You're
We are
oh
this
my gosh,
close
look
to
at all the
bringing this
insight
woman.
checks.
Does it seem like she's implicating the doctor in her illness?
Again, Katt's always like her primary language is sarcasm. So like she's not behaving any differently than normal in terms of that. She seems to be forthright. There is a doctor that comes to visit her.
And she's being sarcastic about them helping? / being a lovely
Mhm.
doctor?
Can I at least make you something for your cough at least?
I
Anything.
don't think they'll allow that. This is jail, you know.
Katt, you look like you're going to be dead by the end of the week.
If I'm lucky.
If you're
That's a
lucky,
joke. Calm down. Calm down.
you know that's not an option, Kat.
You're not going to be able to come visit if you can't take a joke.
There's gotta be
How was
something
your
we can do.
visit with the conclave? Did you all make new friends?
Yes, I think some of our friends are trying to provoke us into doing something very stupid.
You really need voting for that? Has things changed on the outside that much?
Well,
Shut up,
no.
Kat.
No, but they don't necessarily know that.
Just kind of laughs to herself. Like her hands haven't left the table and she's just sort of sitting slumped back in her chair, just quietly laughing to herself.
Why do they have you in jail, Katt?
So they can find me. You're dangerous, you know. For one.
What?
And I'm sick.
Were you sick before or after you came to jail?
Well, now that depends on who you ask, now doesn't it?
I'm asking you.
Oh, I wasn't sick. I mean, I had nightmares,
You think poison?
but I wasn't
perhaps?
sick. Possibly. I don't really have control over what I eat or drink anymore.
Yeah.
Well, if it's not magical, I could possibly help.
But it's magical. Most of the places in here have pretty good tamp downs on magic.
So, let me see if I can at least do something. And starts pulling out stuff. Surely I can make a general remedy for cough and shit. Maybe a general purging shit. Anything, Erie?
I mean, you can roll.
You have a cough drop?
That's a roll.
That's a roll.
Good, yeah.
I mean, yeah, you can come up with some kind of like anti-cough dram. Sure.
Yeah. Maybe a, like, I don't, I guess it's either that or an antitoxin, one or the other, with the time we have. I'll make something for her.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll make something for her cough in her lungs since I don't know for sure that it's, like, I don't know if it's a poison or a toxin or a spell or anything.
Yeah, I was gonna
so-
say you really don't have much to go on, so it's your discretion.
So I'll make all this, pour it into, you know, a flask that's kind of smoking slightly, you know, bubbling an ominous green color. Yeah, this should help with the cough at least.
One way or another, huh? She takes it. As she does, you actually get a booming voice. No origination point visible. there is a booming voice as if coming in over a loudspeaker, warning not to make contact. The prisoners.
Right.
Can't even give her a hug.
Do it anyways.
Touching.
You can say "bite me" to them.
Can I place it on the table and have her pick it up? There's no contact there.
Doesn't answer
So
you.
that's a yes.
Just
Silence is consent.
Set it on the table.
That is not
back up.
consent. Informed affirmative consent.
Yeah, so I'll place it on the table, back away, turn my back. Oh, well, I guess I can't give this to you, but, whatever, I'll just leave it here.
She just laughs. It's appreciated. It's to keep me safe. You understand? Anyway, I'm boring. Please tell me. Outside world. City on
There's
fire
Oren.
yet?
Oren's at the gates.
I know. More than just at the gates.
Yep.
They're inside the city.
Oh, all over. The
What
city.
do you know?
Oh. I know a lot. I know
But just out
that.
of curiosity, like the reason that they're keeping you here is because they want to be able to find you. Like, can't they put you under like house arrest or something?
I don't have a house. That would be difficult.
Wow.
They're afraid that I will disappear, and it's not an unfair concern. It is kind of my job.
Disappearing?
And then, finding in any new places to be, new people to be. And then there's the whole,
The whole what?
mind-breaking thing that has them worried.
Remember what I said is like, yeah.
Her Grace needs you, though. If I could arrange some sort of contract for you to sign that would pledge you to stay in Karak to care for her, would you be willing to sign it?
You've seen Her Grace?
Yeah.
I have. Recently?
Yeah. Yesterday.
Is she okay?
No? Well, I mean, kind of.
Kind of.
She is very isolated, and she could use a friend.
I hate to break your romantic little heart there, Xylund, but I think they're going to let me within 20 paces of her.
Right, but if I could arrange that, would you be willing to stay in Karak?
I have no problem staying in Karak. I'm telling you, I don't think they're going to let me near her ever again.
Well, I mean, I am a paladin of Granin. I gotta have some pull around here.
Do you?
I don't know. Let's see.
Good. Okay, let's see. She's looking.
I fully think that they're planning on her to die in custody.
Yeah, that's their current plan, but I mean, it's worth a shot if we can resolve this diplomatically. That would be the ideal solution.
You're welcome to have that.
Okay, burn down the tree. Let's do it.
There's a
Become
cat
fugitives
left.
after becoming heroes.
Diplomatically. Oh my.
Well, I'm not sure if the rest of my companions here seem to understand how big Greylock is and how not in our best interest it would be to go up against the city or all the churches.
It would be a bad plan.
It would be a very bad plan.
Or would it be the best plan?
It would be a suicidal plan.
It'd be a short plan.
I think we can handle it. That's a lie. That's a lie. I'm sorry.
I believe you think you can handle it. Yes.
Katt, is there anything we can do for you? Anything? Just
Oh! Wait a second. The seer did say that she had stuff for us, right?
I thought that
Here.
was Headman. Or,
The headman wants you to run packages in his ship.
Okay. So
But-
he wants us to be smugglers as well.
Like that.
Maybe.
there's got to be something. You know a lot. Surely you know something we can do.
Oh, well, I'm just, lowly seeker captain. I'm not the golden heroes of, God, what was it he called you? Sainted walkers of the, oh God, meadow, I don't know.
Who,
Stanley and
Stanley?
his bullshit,
Oh.
yes.
Speaking of Stanley,
But do we have to?
how is he still in your employ? We went to visit him, and it seems
Went
like he
to
doesn't do
visit him?
any work.
Okay, but went to visit Stanley, right?
Yes.
Presumably to get information, right?
Information of sorts, yes.
And how much did you get versus how much did he get?
I don't know. He was writing the entire time.
That's what
Not quite
Stanley
a-
does.
He got quite a bit of information.
Stanley's good. He's a fuck up and he drives you crazy. But he can walk into a room, immediately pick up on the vibe, himself in the center of it, and run the show. I've never seen anything like it. He's an idiot, don't get me wrong, but he's an idiot savant. Stanley. He's got to be dying for material with me in here.
I'm sure I'll just make it up.
You'd also read Gail's book, I guess. You'd be one of 4 that did that.
Oh, did Gail actually write a book?
Yeah.
It was a very dry and technical read. It wasn't nearly as entertaining. It was accurate, though.
You've read Gail's book?
Of course.
A 5. Him. Is he
I've
okay?
also read most of Stanley's works. I fail to see what the point is.
There really isn't a point to Stanley. Other than
The point is,
amusement.
regardless of sarcasm, we don't want to just leave you here.
Oh, I'm afraid you're gonna have to. I don't think they'll let me leave.
I'm gonna see if I can get an audience with the justice and see if I can arrange something. Magister Zuri seems to have some. Well, he doesn't hate us, so that's a start.
That already puts him on the path for sainthood. I'm fairly confident. So, seen Her Grace. Have you seen Gale?
No, what happened to Gail?
Oh, he got kicked out of the church.
Yeah, we heard that.
According to Kern scrying, he's
I'm not sure where he is.
Oh, he's at home.
Where is home?
Oh, you've never been to Hartley Manor?
nope.
That's where he is.
What exactly was he demoted for?
Oh, working for me.
Oh. Was he always working for you?
Oh. About halfway through your first episode, let's say, he started giving me information. Just so I could make sure you were okay. Her Grace's orders, of course. I don't care, but... Then, when he came back to Greylock, wrote his book, and no one cared. I told him that could have happened. But he wanted to do more than what he was doing, so he started spying for me.
On who?
Anyone and everyone. Church, forum, Grennan, the castle.
And that's why
Not
they
half
have
bad
you
at
in
it.
here.
That's one of the reasons. Still a spy. Smart. Said you read his book?
Mm.
Did you look at the photos? The illustrations?
I noticed them, but I didn't pay them much attention. Why?
He's very good at what he does.
Very detail oriented.
Okay.
Apparently, certain members of the party were stabbed 8 times.
Well, he is very detail oriented.
And thus I can see his usefulness.
Yeah. Yeah, he is useful. Glad you came. You don't have anything else entertaining to tell me. I'm gonna go take a nap.
Can we come and see you again?
I guess. If you really feel like it, but you better have better stories.
Just, Captain, don't give up just yet.
Give up. Never. Don't give up.
Hey, Katt. You know you're a friend, right? Right?
No. I'm a spy. You shouldn't trust me. Lana is doing something.
Yeah.
Nothing magical.
It is magical, but it is cleric magic, so it's fine. That's how that works.
No,
So,
she specifically
you-
told Kern not to do anything.
Yeah,
because
Lana,
magic
you do.
is-
You do
All
whatever
right.
you want.
I'm
No one
gonna
is
do
the
this.
boss.
All right, I'm doing it. I'm gonna cast this, but I know she said that there were barriers against magic, so I'm going to upcast it very substantially. We're doing this in 6th level.
Ooh.
I'm not fucking around.
Visual aid time.
Visual aid time. No, reach out, do your protection from poison. In that moment, right before the sort of the loudspeaker voice comes through, again commanding you to step back, you can hear the clang of plate from behind the iron door. Katt stands up and grabs your shoulder back, Anna. And just before the guards kick in the door and grab her underneath their arms to haul her back, and you can hear Zuri and presumably the turnkey guard, given the jangle of metal behind you. That split second before you two are separated and you lose contact, you get a rush of mental images.
Oh no. Let
From
me get my
Katt.
note.
Yes. This is exactly what we wanted. Well,
All I
aside
wanted.
from jailbreaking her.
I wanted to know, but this will do.
Okay. So here is the rush of information that you get. It's
well-
mostly audio visual. Like, it's not really Katt talking. It's just sort of like snippets from an editor's reel, just clips. But you see her in the conclave on multiple occasions. A couple of clips are her talking directly to the conclave, and you can kind of hear her mental notes, and most of them are "fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, you're cool." Really is not having a good time with the conclave. And the other clips are her watching Gale testify, and there is a brief flash of a ring. It's a gold ring, a man-style ring, a big clunky one with a red stone in it. When she's at the conclave, it's on her finger because she's twisting it. And when she's watching Gale, her gaze is on Gale's hand, and his hands are closed over one or the other. One over the other. But outside of that, you see her being hauled down to cells. She seems fine. You get snippets of the misunderstanding where she does indeed get busted in the face. You see snippets of her meeting with some of the other members of the Argent Order. You recognize Clan Ripper, who is in charge of the generals of the Argent Order, as well as Reynold, who you've met before, sort of one of her buddies that she had supper with. So yeah, she's met with others from the Argent Order. She met with Gale once in that very room. You see her pushing food away while she's in her cell. The very last image you get, again, a collection of snippets of images. It's like the tail end of a film reel where every other slide is just white light. But it is the sound of someone approaching her cell, someone she can't quite see, someone who stinks of blood. Like she can smell it, and she makes a mental note of it. The flash of a scalpel held at about, like, what would be kind of where a pocket square would be worn, a man's suit, about that location. Being caught, just the shine of a scalpel caught in the torchlight, and the soft scratching of... That's it. That's all you got.
All right. We're definitely jailbreaking Katt out.
Yeah. Like, well, I mean, Lana hasn't time to tell you guys this yet.
Yeah. Can I be like reprimanding Lana for doing stuff and like being like, God, you're so reckless. We weren't gonna do this. Like, blah, blah, blah. Just putting on a show.
Lana will profusely apologize, make up some lie about, I was just going to fix her black eye, and be very apologetic, which is not at all what's going through her head right now.
Right. So yes, nothing but chaos in the room as Katt is dragged out, the iron door slamming shut, and simultaneously you got Zuri and the turnkey guard coming through, opening the iron doors. He's shouting, the voice without an origin is shouting. Zuri is not happy. He's not shouting, but he's muttering. Meanwhile, stools are getting knocked over, people are standing up, there's a whole bunch of kerfuffle. It's just a giant mess as you all get sort of pulled and herded out of the visiting room back into the main hall and out towards the steps. It's all a bunch of noise and fury.
We'll purposely steer the party out.
Zuri is behind you. He's not letting you out of his sight, going up the steps back into the heart of Autonova. He is clearly pissed, but he's got the controlled voice of a patient parent. I don't know what you think you were going to accomplish. I don't know what that was all about. I don't know if you forgot where you were. But that was a mistake.
We were just a little bit distraught at the state of our friend.
Yeah.
It was not what we were led to expect.
Can understand. It has very trying for everyone across the board. You've had a long day. The captain is clearly facing some challenges. I would advise you not do that again. I'm not sure they'll even give you the opportunity to do that again. But it might be best for you to retire from the conclave for today.
Could I have a private word with you before I go?
He is visibly irritated, but he nods curtly.
I'll sort of salute the others and say I'll meet up with them later.
We'll see you at the end.
Yep.
Zuri takes you back real quick to the room that you met with him the first time. Please make this short.
Right. Well, as I understand it, the main reason that Katt is being held here is she's a flight risk. Is that more or less correct?
Possibly. She's considered a material witness, and of course, there are concerns for her health.
I don't think staying here is helping her health. I think that's, well, never mind that for now. If I could get her, well, I did get her to agree. If would it be possible for us to draw up a contract between her and the conclave, with her promising to stay within the confines of Katt, rather than here in the cells? That way you'll know where she is. You'll be able to access her when you want to. But she'll also be able to provide some support for her grace.
I don't believe the conclave will agree to allow her and her grace to interact.
Why?
I'm not privy to all the conclave's inner workings, but just from my personal opinion, watching the investigation unfold, is not far stretch to say members of the conclave believe that Captain Leofero may be influencing her grace directly. Her abilities are not unknown. It is not heard of for her kind to do that. And her grace has been acting erratically.
Yeah, but she hasn't improved since you've had Katt locked up here.
Well, honestly, no one's been able to get in to see her grace until you did yesterday, so.
Would it be possible for me to pitch my idea to the justice?
I'm sure you can. I will counsel you. I don't anticipate it going well, but you are certainly able to.
Would you be willing to back me up and make it sound officialish? Like I'll pitch the general outline and you sort of, if there are some details that I'm not exactly, I'd basically need a lawyer on my side, because I'm like an ideas guy. I come up with the general framework, but then the sort of fiddly bits, I'm not so strong on those. Like, I haven't been around here much. I don't really know how the church works, so.
I can go with you, and if the justice assents, I can write the contract. Pitch is your own, though. I can't go against the conclave.
All right, when could we arrange that then?
I can see if she's free.
Okay.
And okay, stay here. He does. He zip-zops out, and very quickly returns. He seems anxious to get this all behind him. They don't have any other witnesses till this afternoon, so she can give you 10 minutes now. Then I really suggest, for the guards have a chance to report, you get this done and get out.
All right, I'll make it quick.
He does. He takes you to the justice's apartments, which is a pretty big, fancy office, as one would expect, with the stone altars and big, heavy wooden desk. And she's still in her blue, looking a little tired, but greets you as you are ushered into the door and points where you can sit. I have limited time, but what I do have is yours.
Right.
How can
I appreciate your indulgence.
Mm.
So we met with Katt, and I'm not sure, like, from what happened during our interrogation, it sounded more like, well, the spin you gave it was that she was being held for her own safety kind of deal, which is, it turns out, not the case. I think that keeping her here is depriving the city of the good she could provide and stabilizing her grace's state of mind. So I sort of pitched the idea to her that maybe I could get a contract written up in which she would promise to stay within the confines of character and make herself available to you and your investigations and such, and sort of act as a friend to Nasali, and console her in these trying times. And she agreed. She seemed to be willing to do that. So I was wondering if we could maybe arrange that for the sake of, the greater good here. I understand that you have some concerns about her influence on her grace, but from what I've seen between the two of them, whatever influence she has all been to the good. And it's a fact that her grace has not improved since you have had Katt locked up here.
There are extenuating circumstances. I appreciate your concern, and I also appreciate your instinct to mend fences. But until we understand the nature of the relationship and the extent of everyone's involvement in the incident, not to mention the captain's mysterious illness, I think it would be irresponsible to let her out of custody for the moment. It's only temporary.
How temporary, though?
Till we reach a conclusion.
Yeah, but what kind of timeline do you have in mind there? Because
Can't rush the truth, as you know.
it just seems like the longer she stays in here, the more the situation is going to destabilize. I mean, aren't we supposed to be about order and, keeping the balance?
Exactly. The Conclave is working to establish an interim solution. We should have one, I would say, in the next day or so. Your testimony was instrumental in that, by the way. Thank you.
Instrumental in what exactly?
In helping guide our decision making. Be otherwise convinced we're quite taken with what you all had to say. You definitely got some people off fences.
I don't know if that's a good thing. I guess I'll wait and see.
Always a good thing.
Well, I guess our business is concluded for now.
Oh, it's always a pleasure to meet with you. Yes.
I should mention, while we were down there, my companions were a little bit distraught at the sight of Katt, since it was so far from what we'd been led to expect. We weren't made aware of this disease. Xylund will try not to put disease in quotation marks when he says it.
Okay.
So, passions ran a little hot, and one of my companions tried to reach out to console her, I believe, and I guess there's a no touching rule down there, so yeah, no harm was meant.
I appreciate you reporting it nonetheless.
Anywho.
Thank you for coming by.
Okay, I'll be in town
No.
for a while still, so if you know where I am.
Yes.
All right.
Zuri's outside the door, practically tapping his foot. Are you done? Are you satisfied?
No, but I'm going.
All right. Lead you back to the group. Apparently all having issues.
Oh, I've assumed they went back to the inn.
They're headed that way. I'll lead you to the door. Want to rendezvous at the inn? Or
Yep.
is Kern going to the docks?
I don't think we need to roleplay out that part of it, because just going away.
It's going away, so everyone kind of takes a breath, walks around a little bit, and wander back to the inn where apparently Hildreth is having a conversation
Yes.
as to who Katt is.
Yeah, just talking with the girls on his way back to wherever it is they're staying. Seems like an inn.
Mhm.
Well, the girls in Davynn, who's
Davynn.
been quiet.
Yeah, right. He's not really part of the conversation.
Moody.
Well, the others have more experience with Captain Liliscea than I do, but she's friend. She works closely with Nisali, and she helped us out of several spots, trouble, and she's always been very dependable. Scathing and sarcastic, but dependable.
At least peripherally.
Have
feel
I
like
not
we-
shown the same qualities?
Well,
I mean, no.
not only that, but Captain Liliscea is more of someone who circles around our group, occasionally coming in to say or do something and then leaving. You're around all the time, and we know where her loyalties lie. Explicitly with her grace. And we know that whatever it is she's doing, it's not for nefarious purposes. So I'm not sure. Hildreth. Kern is paranoid by nature, and so rightly are the rest of us, to one degree or another. And you have to admit, there are a lot of shadows around you, metaphorically speaking, and sometimes literally speaking.
More often than not, literally.
Yes. And those can make it hard to trust. You don't reciprocate, and frankly, have very little to no tact. So you ask a very sensitive question, and yet you're not willing to give us anything. It's going to cause some tension.
I do believe I've never tried to hide anything that wasn't expressly forbidden.
Yes, and I don't blame you for holding back things that you cannot say. I don't. I fully well understand discretion and requirements. However, you do have to understand the things you hold back make it hard for people who may not have those requirements and have never lived under those requirements. It's hard to accept. Now, I'm not going to say you're right or you're wrong. I'm not going to say what you should and shouldn't do. I'm just trying to explain why perhaps Kern has such difficulty with you.
I'll make notes of this, thank you.
Yes.
Oh. Alright. So we will meet back. And you, I assume, will wander back eventually.
Yeah.
And
I'm basically going to be like, hey, how close is the ship being good to be underway? Like, can we get in the water tomorrow?
If you do visit the dock, the ship is virtually done. The only thing that they have to do is get the sails fitted. They're made, they're ready. It's going to take a day or two to get it completely outfitted and then to get it stocked. But it is a good 95% complete. They were able to fashion cannons kind of the way that you wanted them to, although they weren't able to get them charged the way you wanted because they don't have a mage.
Yeah.
But they were constructed the way that you and Xylund drew. And the plating they could not get, but the shipwright was kind enough to get you the information of a fellow shipwright in Freyhaven that might be able to set you up right.
God damn it, Yuri, you said all these things in your world that are so interesting to go and see, and then you have this drama in Greylock that we like. We gotta do.
I will try and be more
solution.
boring and railroady. I'm sorry. I will from now
Solution.
on. There will be one
Cat,
path.
Go to Freyhaven. We got this.
I mean, technically, if you think about it, we could just ignore all the drama in Greylock
Good.
and just leave.
Good. You could go.
What part of this group makes you think that we're gonna ignore drama?
We are responsible citizens and something.
Something. All right. So yes, visiting the dock, it does get you a contact in Freyhaven if you want to upgrade and or do anything fancier to your ship than the shipwright was able to do. But you will be able to sail in about 48 hours.
Okay.
She's all yours.
All right, that's our timeline, guys.
So you have 48 hours before you have a fully functioning ship.
48 hours to bust out
Stock your
Katt and
food.
we can do this.
I think we should probably talk to Xylund first, just in case he has something for us.
Yeah.
We also need
You
to
guys
find
say
Gale
that.
yesterday.
Yeah.
And while we're back at the inn and Kern's getting this information and Xylund is bargaining contracts, Lily is going to pull out her copy of Gale's book and look at the pictures.
Okay. There are a few kind of plate illustrations there. Obviously, they're hand drawn, and they're fairly standard. They're not done by a professional artist. This is someone who is either learning or amateur at best. They're mostly line drawings, but they're heavily detailed.
So I'm mainly interested in the ones that came later, the ones that came after Katt started having him spying on her.
Okay.
And whether whatever I gotta bend to this, I don't think researcher would help too much, but I definitely have a lot of skills that deal with the intellectual things. I want to give an in-depth analysis of them and see if I can spot whatever made Katt bring them up. You know, secret messages or some like kind of symbolism kind of thing. Like I'm basically trying to see if there's a reason for it or if she's basically just like, look at his attention to detail. Which doesn't sound like Katt.
No, just do an intelligence. Just roll a straight intelligence roll.
All right, don't fuck me this time. You've been rolling real well. Are you shitting me? Really?
Boo.
They look
Lily's
like-
not as smart as she thinks she is.
She's looking at him. She's like, I don't get it. They just look like pictures.
She's too distraught today.
It is a bad day.
She doesn't know the code, so she doesn't know what could be the code. That's all.
It doesn't look like there's a code. The pictures look fairly normal. There's and again, like I said, most of them are just sort of line drawings. There's no overt symbolism that you can see. On a roll of investigation, she's good.
I mean, I have a better investigation than that. Nah. But you said just line drawings, no seeming symbolism, no.
It doesn't look like it.
What about? What about steganography? That's what I'm thinking of, right? Is that stuff hidden in pictures?
That's stuff hidden in pictures.
Yeah.
It's not Arcana though.
Could I use investigation? Maybe even. Well, I don't think anything. I wouldn't want to use alchemy without having some sign of something being there. But maybe investigation for either steganography or maybe like you said they're plates, so maybe like indentions that
They're
don't
like
make sense.
They're pressed. Yeah, they're pressed plated into it. So there's the lines. But yeah, if you want to roll an investigation, absolutely. You just really want to pore over this picture.
Yeah, I'm gonna basically spend the entire time I have.
Okay.
Until Kern and Xylund get back looking over this. Hell, if
Okay.
I could, I'll take a 20.
Okay. So as the conversation sort of buzzes around you, you spend some time poring over these pictures, and it does. Not entirely sure, but some of the lines don't look like solid lines. They look like they might be dotted or broken in a way.
Is there like a Morse situation here?
It's hard to tell. but it's there. It's very small. It's incredibly small writing.
Okay.
Does anyone have a magnifying glass? Is that
I
a thing
mean,
in Fantasyland?
That is a thing.
Can
I
we
have
get
enlarged reduced.
that? Would work.
Large
Word.
reduce.
we're not doing that on my book. Not on my book. I'm gonna take
Library.
out parchment and stuff, and I'm gonna try and see if how best to reproduce this.
Just do enlarge reduce. It only lasts a minute. It's great. It's perfect.
Well, I mean,
There, he's doing it.
Okay, he did enlarge reduce. So if that's what you want to do, Evan.
I'm gonna whack
I
him
would
with the.
love to
I'm
do
gonna
that.
whack him across the head with the enlarged book 3 or 4 times. Nope, magic on my books. And then I'm gonna flip open the page to where it was.
Note the spell I just cast.
With the book enlarged, it is easier to see the pictures, and while you would still need some sort of magnification device in order to get the clearest view of it, it is very obvious that someone has taken a lot of painstaking detail and written a coded message into the lines of some of the drawings. Some of it is symbols, some of it is it's very similar to the substitution cipher that you found with Navek.
What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull out a one of the beveled vials in my alchemist kit, and let's see, water would work, but something more viscous would be better. Do I have any clear oil? I don't. We'll try water first. I'm gonna try water and see if I can't use it as a impromptu magnifying lens.
Okay. It distorts it a little bit, but you're able to get some of the writing down.
Yeah, so I'll start transposing all of that onto a separate parchment, and once I get everything, I'll work on cracking the cipher.
Okay, well, you only get a minute. The spell only lasts a minute. So
I'll cast it as many times as I need to.
How many times is that?
I have up to 5 times.
Okay.
So
you get 5 minutes.
And up to 4 shields to avoid Lily whacking me with the book.
Well, after the first time, I'm not going to whack you again. Additionally,
I can get comprehend languages for ciphers tomorrow.
well, let's see. What else do I have? Oh, I also have shape water, so I can actually literally just take the water I put in the glass and shape it into a magnifying lens.
Yeah, the water will help. There's a bit of a distortion. So you've got, again, several minutes of transcribing slightly enlarged text. So you do get a chunk of it from one picture, which is enough to start cracking it. It's not the entirety of it, but it is enough to at least give you a heads up.
Yeah, which I can start working on that. I am a linguist.
Yeah, it is going to take you a bit to crack, but you've got it, or at least you have this chunk of it. So Lily's got that with an assist from Davynn.
Holding an ice bag to his head.
He's paid for his help, with smacks to the head. Kern has returned with his information about the ship. Xylund has returned from his contract. Is there any other business you guys would like to wrap up before we conclude for the session?
I just want to make sure everybody's on the same page. We're on the page of fuck this city, right?
Yes.
No.
Well, no, we're not saying fuck the city. We're saying we think we know what's best for this city.
Or okay, fuck this establishment then for imprisoning Katt, and absolutely I would break her out if we could do so safely, or even not even safely.
If we
I'm
have
100% with Davin on this one and not letting Katt get tortured to death.
Yeah.
So I need to say, yes, I do think if possible, we should get Katt out of there by any means necessary. But I do not think we should do so if we do not have a plan that has a high chance of success. Because what essentially is going to happen is if we get caught, there is a very high likelihood that they will blame it on her manipulations and execute her. And then there's a very good chance that they'll execute us anyways, or imprison us, or any number of things. And it's suicidal. It's already going to be suicidal, but if we don't have something that will work, or at least is more likely to work than not, then we're going to be burning a lot of bridges, destroying ourselves for no gain.
The justice said that they're going to be coming to some kind of decision within the next day or so. So whatever we do, we should wait until that happens first. I'm slightly more optimistic about the system than I was this morning. So
Okay.
I don't think it's worth burning everything down right now.
But then after that doesn't work, or if it doesn't work,
Then we
sorry,
can
Come up with a plan.
review our options then.
To put all my cards on the table, I'm not sitting by while they kill her.
Also, I want to point out, not having a good plan and or being suicidal has never stopped us from doing something before.
Yes. But this is different.
No, it's not.
It's totally different.
Yeah.
Our actions have consequences, and big consequences in this case.
Yeah.
Because if we do this, then that would also negate our entire testimony about Nisali. And basically, if we go in there half-cocked like we usually do, we'll get Katt killed, we'll probably get ourselves killed, and we'll get Nisali deposed, and probably someone from Orem put on the fucking throne.
I have a suggestion.
Okay.
Yes.
One of the members of the clergy asked to speak with me. I can use this opportunity to pry and get more information on the situation. That way we'll be a bit more...
Prepared?
Yes. We'll know more about what the situation is before taking any possibly rash actions.
I agree. We have, like Xylund said, 2 days.
Do you think you can get the book decoded by then?
I don't know if there will be anything useful, but I'll give it a shot. There's not really much else I can be doing right now. I don't have an in with any of them, so I can't get information like Hildreth.
We need to find out where Hartney Manor is too, how far away. Maybe we can get there in 2 days and back.
Oh yeah. Hey Gail.
Yeah, we do need to talk to Gail. And
heard you were back home. How far away is that from Greylock? We miss you. Love you lots.
XOXO.
Sister, when you attempted to cast your spell on Katt, something happened. She grabbed your shoulder and you
On a
went blank for a
moment
second.
to recount everything she saw.
Well, that ring seems important.
Let's get that.
Is it just me, or does it seem like she's planning her own breakout?
Well, I think she's given us clues. If there's clues in the book and there's this ring thing, and yeah. I think while we were waiting for them to make a decision, it seems worthwhile to follow up on these various leads.
And I think I'm going to start from the end of the book. There might be... If I start from the end, there might be something more pertinent to the situation in there.
All right, hear me out. Strike teams. You handle the book, since the manor might not be nearby, and I have one at the Hasted Pegasus. I handle Chase and Gale. And start splitting off. We don't have time to do this as a group.
Send Xylund with you? Or...
Yeah.
And Hildreth will speak with the sage Imavaris.
Correct.
Okay. Kern, what
And
are your thoughts?
I'll keep visiting Katt like every day just to just one, keep her hopes up. To be like, yeah, that first thing that happened was totally like that was out of the ordinary. We're gonna be good boys and girls now.
I tried to smooth things over. I don't know how successful I was.
Yeah.
Also,
if they do let you see her, it will also confirm that she's still alive every day.
Yes. Yeah.
Do you think you could? Besides that, do you think you could get further status on our ship and whether or not I know you said 48 hours, 2 days roughly, but if we can make any other preparations just in case we need to get out of here quickly.
I gotcha. This isn't my first time that I've run away on a ship. I know what needs to happen.
Which
Go ahead, Xylund.
which member of the clergy wanted to talk to you anyway, Hildreth?
Sage Umavaris, the elven one.
Oh, the elven one. Oh, okay.
Right. Okay. So we have plan of action. And hopefully 2 days. We have 2 days to get all this done before we find out if the conclave has made the decision, and whatever that decision is, if it goes poorly, we then make a plan.
Current year sending goes through. You get Gale's voice back saying, "Banner is huge. The North Gate. Orm's on guard."
So we need to break Gale out of the manor.
We've got a flying horse. We can go at night.
It's
And-
right outside the north gate of.
They said take the North Gate. All he said was the estate was huge and to take the North Gate.
Okay.
I also have a thought on something. Hasted Pegasus, sister, could you get outside the North Gate and past Orem and under?
I have an invisible hasted horse.
Oh, well, I was gonna say I could also cast invisibility as well.
Perfect.
Well,
I think
I
this
think
is
the
one of
manor
the few
itself
things
is
where-
also under Orem control based off of how.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what it sounded like.
It sounded like it's under guard. Since Null does have to bounce and we are just a little bit over, that is a good place to wrap up with everyone having their assignments and no one's in prison, which I'm very proud of. I figured at least one of you would get locked up.
Oh,
Can I
wow.
volunteer to be locked up and you be locked up?
You're from the
Jailbreak from the
inside.
inside.
No, yeah,
That-
yeah. So that because that way,
That was
like,
the
I
one
still have
thing.
access.
Volunteer
I
to
have
get
access to all my stuff, kind of, because of my tattoo.
Yep.
And if worse comes to worse, like they come and visit and be like, man, there's nothing we can do to get you out of here. I can just be like, okay, that's the signal. And we're jailbreaking out of there immediately.
Question. What? Okay, so Gale still has one of the sending stones, right? Do
No.
we have the other?
No,
Oh,
Gale
that's
sending stones talk to Katt.
Okay.
You have a set of sending stones, but
Oh, we need
belong
get the
to-
ring that she had. That could
Yeah.
help
Oh,
us.
Gale might have that. Is
Yeah.
the thing.
No,
Yeah.
he has the other end of it.
Oh, that's what that ring is. Is that how they communicate? Oh, okay.
no, Gale had a set of sending stones between him and Katt.
Oh,
The
never
ring.
mind.
Gale-
The ring, I think, is something that they use to get around the truth detection or something.
We don't know. We won't know until we get it.
Yeah.
But you guys
I'll ask Cat questions when I
Yeah,
go
that's
there.
still a mystery.
Yeah.
All right. Bye, Noel. Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
I know.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, we will definitely wrap up. So yes, next session, strike teams. You guys can finalize your plans, and then we will go ahead and roll out and see what happens.